Well, thing, I think they did talk about stop it and one. You might like it almost like.
Yeah, this was here though. From the water.
Change it. That's all.
That's
Thank you. Thank you.
I,
Jared, okay. We're fine, I'm sitting out like 10 morning, right? Should be some. That brings them all. Yes.
When you started, I'll start with that.
The United States. Stands Next, another guy. If it's small, with the city, cast is
Really bogus. Really bogus. Present. Page. Valley. Present. Painter. Wolfersberger.
Here.
Cummings. Yes. Rep.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody. We have a full house here tonight, so we'll kind of zip through some of the quick things at the top of my agenda here. And then we'll get to some of these other things, and then those that would like to leave, you're welcome to leave after we get you your spot. So you don't have to sit through our whole meeting, but anyway, we have a couple other seats up here. If you want to move in and have a seat, you're welcome to do that. So to start with, I have a couple of appointments to make. The first one that I'm going to make is we have an open seat on our planning and zoning that we need to fill, and I had a gentleman accept that offer to be on our planning. So Jeff Klotz, he's going to join if you'll approve him. But I recommend him to fill the vacancy on planning and zoning. If you guys don't know Jeff, I presume a lot of you probably know him, but his term will run through 2026. That would be May of 2026. I've known Jeff for several years. He's active in our community, and he's been active for more than 20 years. He's moved to St. Joe in 1998. He has 4 children and 5 precious grandchildren. Over the years, he's coached youth sport. Is very currently very active in his church, the Prince of Peace Lutheran Church. He's a part of their leadership committee, and also has attended several of the youth mission trips. Jeff sells real estate here in St. Joe with locally for over 20 years. He's currently a member of the Keller Williams Realty team, and I look forward to having Jeff join our commissioners. And I think he'll bring a lot of good things as he serves on that board. So it should be that. And then I do have 2 reappointments. So if you guys, do we need like a motion or just the approval? So if someone would like to make a motion to approve just Jeff Potts to that appointment.
I make a motion, we approve Jeff for the planning and zoning.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Page.
Yes.
Valley. Yes. Wolfersberger.
Yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
Rep.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. And the next, I have 2 reappointments. These 2 people are currently on our planning and zoning board, and they have been. It's just that their terms were ready to renew. And those 2 reappointments will be Sam Furr and Kurt Harshbarger. They both have brought a lot to the table for the planning and zoning, so I just need a motion to reappoint both of them.
Do you have their term ended?
Their term will officially expire May of this year, 2024, so it'll be 4 years, so
Okay.
from there.
I'll motion to reappoint Sam and Kurt.
Second.
Valley. Yes. Wolfersberger.
Yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
5-0. Did we do that for Sam and Kurt? Okay. I heard Sam. For some reason I didn't hear Kurt, so sorry about that. Okay, I will open it up to, is there anyone here for public comment that's not on the agenda?
Is that me, I guess?
Is it, or do you want them, is he for the meeting?
It's up to you. Have him,
What's he with?
you're with the voting company.
Yeah, for the automobiles, yeah.
Kid, do you mind if we have you speak after I give a couple of presentations? Okay, if you don't mind, we'll let you do that, all right?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Is that okay, Aaron?
That's fine with me.
Anyway, so we will go through, we have our consent agenda, which includes the we have 3 different sets of minutes for February 27th, March 12th, and March 26th. Also the bills, the treasury report, and the parklet out application, and also the agreement with Spark Deeds. Is there any questions on that? If not, is there a motion?
Well, I do have one. Debbie,
They're right here.
the youth is still not responding?
They're not responding,
Okay,
and I sent 2 emails this morning.
okay, all right. Okay. No, I'm fine. You'll make a motion to approve.
Did you make the motion?
You can't, I don't care.
Okay, second.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Valley. Yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Now, I think that.
Thank you.
First thing, I'm gonna actually stand down in front here because I have a little presentation I'm gonna make with the, some special guest here this evening. Different thing. Feel a little safer behind. So, I'm actually here, I want to take the opportunity and, actually, Judd, if you don't mind coming up here with me. That's fine. I would like, everybody, I would like to introduce this, Judd Travis. And anyway, he and his congregation and his family were very, very special. They donated the church here in the village. And so I just want to recognize you guys. Thank you very much for that. So I have just a little bit, if you're okay to stand or if you want to sit back
Well,
down.
I'd like to have my congregation standing with me.
Okay.
I mean, to stand anyway, so that.
All right, yes, he's got some people here from his congregation and his daughter Lori is here. And Mary, so.
There you go.
So, I would like to take this opportunity to thank and recognize Judd Travis, his family, and members of the Faith Missionary Baptist Church for their generous donation of their church property located at 407 North Main Street here in St. Joseph. The village trustees, the village residents, and I want to say thank you. We look forward to utilizing this building and property to better serve the residents of St. Joe. The village has currently outgrown our municipal building, as you can see. Here, and have our village offices also are located in a couple of different buildings. So like my office is over at another building, and so we're kind of scattered all over. And also a lot of our storage is becoming quite crowded. So by having this building, we'll have the ability to expand our storage space. Our employees in the administrative office will all work in one roof. And then also the spaces currently have been serving as a sanctuary. We're planning and hoping to use that as more of a community space. So our plan is to hopefully have that be our meeting space for meetings like this, so that they'll have more room for people to come to our meetings and join us in our meetings. But also we're planning on using that space for community gatherings, senior citizens, women's groups, birthday parties, funerals, a lot of different things that the community would have a little bit of space to meet with, to do fun things and to have meetings and things like that. The Village of St. Joseph will be able to continue to use this property to serve the residents, though in a different capacity, but in a very productive and positive way. The trustees and I are excited to explore the potential of this very generous donation. Judd Travis and his late wife, Kathy, who was a wonderful person, they moved their young son, Paul, their family here to St. Joseph in April 22nd of 1973 to serve as the pastor of Faith Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor Travis began serving the community in the storefront building over on Lincoln Street. And then shortly after he arrived, him and his congregation worked very hard to build the building where they currently were at. So shortly after putting in many hours, they completed the construction sometime in September of 1974. And Judd and Kathy welcomed their daughter Lori here in the community of St. Joseph. And they decided to stay and be residents here in our community in St. Joseph and serve the community and the church and their congregation. And not only was the residents of St. Joe, but the community at large. He had a lot of service to those people.
I was a garbage man.
Oh. Due to a very small membership, Pastor Travis was also bivocational and he worked at Herb Jones, which was also known as Cap and Gown, from 1976 to 2007. Although the church was small, Pastor Travis had blessed many people in this community in a very big way. He and his congregation have helped residents through hardships as well as support for multiple missionaries on a monthly and rotational basis. After losing his wife Kathy in April of 2022, Pastor Travis's health began to decline and he made the very tough decision it was time maybe to retire. So with that retirement, he made a decision back in last summer, towards the end of the summer, I think it was. And anyway, the congregation unanimously decided to donate the property to the village and hopefully continue to be a blessing to our community. So I'm very honored and want to thank all of you very much for that donation. And we plan to use it to our best capacity to make it an asset to our community. I'm also honored here this evening to not only thank you guys, but I also would like to thank Pastor Travis for his many years of caring and all the love that you've shown our community. I know back in years ago when I had my young family and we moved to St. Joe, even though I was a townie, I was married and had my, he was one of my welcoming crew and come and knocked on the door and welcomed me to the community. Even though I was fairly familiar with the community, I still very much appreciated having a special welcome from him. So, and I know he did that to a lot of others here in the community as well. So anyway, it is my pleasure to share with your family and your congregation. The trustees and I would like very much to honor you with naming the old sanctuary where we plan to have our meeting space, Travis Hall or something and similar to that, to have that a little sign over the door so that everyone that comes into that sanctuary will remember some of your many sermons there that you gave.
Well, you know, Freddie Bowler, I don't know how many of you might remember the Bowler family. He was the garbage man and I worked for him for 15 months, you know, before the seminary got me teaching. But anyway, we called our church officially Bowler Memorial Chapel because Freddie Bowler had done so much. And well, when his family moved to St. Joe, he's the one that saw a missionary, you know, to come to St. Joseph and start to work. And that was Harry Masters' family.
Well, we very much appreciate what you guys have done for our community and having that building be given to us, and we plan on using it. And we really appreciate it. It seems only appropriate that you continue to have your name in that meeting space there. So we thank you very much. So we want to thank you guys very, very much. Lori and your family, the congregation. Thank you guys for being here this evening. And we just can't tell you how much we appreciate the gift. So
been over 50 years.
it has, and and I look forward to still seeing you around town.
I'm aiming to be around town, so
You always supervise the post office there too sometimes, so.
that's where I enjoy meeting people from the community. I fit IGA and post office.
Well, thank you very much, and I thank each one of my trustees very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, sorry.
We don't need to.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No, I can sit down now. All right, got other things gotta do, so I'm gonna see you in heaven, not sooner. Yeah. Jesus said he's the only way. Yeah.
Not sure. Oh, I don't know whether it's well, that's pretty boring. Thank you. The Girl Scouts can move forward now. I went to welcome the Girl Scouts here this evening, and they have a presentation for us this evening. I told them they can direct most of their presentation to us at the board, but since we do have some in the audience, they can turn now to the audience every once in a while and show them that we have too. So they have been talking to me a little bit, since Christmas about the Christmas tree. And so they have some thoughts on the Christmas tree and, with our Christmas tree event, we've had 2 of those this so far in the village of St. Joe. And so, because we had Alana bring that to our attention that we needed a Christmas tree. I don't know, and how many of you guys was at the Christmas tree lighting last year or the year before? You guys there? And it was a fun event, wasn't it? So anyway, so I will let, who's gonna be your spokesman here today? We're all gonna speak, you're all gonna speak, okay. Well, I will let you give your presentation then.
We are Girl Scout Troop 2191. We are the Girl Scout Troop in St. Joseph. We are girls in the 4th and 5th grade. I'm Isabel. I'm Julia. I'm Karen. I'm Jen. I'm Emily. I'm Presley. I'm Zoe. We are here to present a proposal for the village board. We seek to benefit the village, but we need your support and approval. We have completed a Girl Scout journey to become citizen scientists. With the project, we learned about carefully observing and describing what we see around us in nature. We are thinking about planting a tree for our village and noticed that we need to know more about trees. We met with a local arborist and a tree expert and learned all about trees. We are working to complete our Girl Scout boundary. The Girl Scout boundary work gives us an opportunity to have a concern and come up with a sustainable solution to benefit our community. We noticed our town's Christmas tree fell over in the wind. We are trying to solve this problem by planting a real Christmas tree. We are hoping this Christmas tree can help our town with holiday fun trees. It was by a Norway church tree that was recommended by our tree expert. The Norway spruce is resistant to bugs and diseases and is tall enough climate. Depending on how much money we use, we can buy a 6-10-foot tall tree. This tree will grow about 6 feet each year once the roots are established. This tree will grow about 50 to 60 feet tall and up to 30 feet around, and can live up to 60 years if we are careful about where we can watch it. This tree needs to be watered weekly for the first 2 years, and the best time to plant the tree will be in April or March. May. After the first 2 years, the tree will need very little maintenance. Our church has raised about $120 with our cookie sales and community donations. Our tree expert has shared who will provide us with an established tree at the wholesale. The price is about $240. We are asking for the village board's approval with the ship. And our speaking village support to return in right from the street. We are hoping that the tree will help the village save money. So the village will not need to purchase a new tree each year. We are reaching out St. Joseph's Future Farmers of America who was looking to support us. And we are also hoping to work with the village gardener as well as the SJL student organizers to make sure this project is sustainable for years to come. And we are here.
That's the sticker. Again, one of this president was not here, so.
And we have a catalog in the first series of that, if you would like that.
Thank you. Well, I thank you girls very much for your presentation. I am very excited. I think the board here would be in agreement that we look forward to you. I think we're totally on board with planting a tree with you guys. Do you want us officially to do kind of a straw vote? And let you know, and then basically what we'll do is we'll work together with you to figure out the best location for the tree. So I know your leader mentioned potentially, maybe you guys saw the presentation that we have a new building that we're going to be working on for our new municipal building. Potentially that might be a good spot to do it. I also talked with the Forest Preserve people today about possibly having maybe a couple locations close to the trail, close to the downtown. So, but it sounds like it could be a really big tree, so we'd have to be kind of careful on where we planted it, since it sounds like it's going to get to be really tall and maybe very big around. So, but anyway, me and Joe will work with our trustees, and then I will work with you directly. Maybe I'll get to come to one of your meetings. I won't come with a cheer. But we'll come and we will work together and get that figured out. Does that sound like a plan? So I know you guys have been talking a little bit about how the village board votes on things and stuff. So we're gonna kind of make it, even though it's officially, unofficially, I mean, you guys officially were on our agenda, so that always helps us to have things on the agenda so we know when we can vote for things. But what I would need would be a formal motion that we will entertain, working with the Girl Scouts to have them work with us to plant a tree in a location somewhere in the village for our
Just
Christmas.
want a general motion.
Yeah, we'll do a general motion and then they'll see how that works. And then, okay.
You want to take?
Sure. So I make a motion.
Wait. Sorry, I'm sorry. She just said she wanted to add something.
Okay, sorry. I was talking to you.
Okay.
So I'm Katrina Pepe, I'm one of the co-leaders with our troop as the girls share, be able to raise about $120 for our tree with our community donations and with our cookie sales. And so we didn't know if that might be something that the village might be able to help us for a portion of those costs. I don't know, I just figured I would ask them.
Yeah, we can most definitely put that into consideration.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we can work with those details out too, and then we'll make that a more of a formal thing to add into our budget or whatever. So, but anyway, so I'll go ahead and let you do your motion as you were gonna.
Thank you. So I make a motion that we approve the Girl Scouts to plant a tree in our community and working with our board and our staff excitedly. My motion, please, and thank you.
Second.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Yep.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
5-0 approval.
Thank you. And thank you girls very much for all your hard work and we look forward to working with you guys. All right, say girls. Thank you. And we really enjoyed the cheer. Yeah, oh, yeah. Does anybody else want to appreciate the cheer?
You want to get?
Because I think we're done with this.
She'd be down there. We're gonna use everything to the tree.
Oh, dear. Some of you guys are almost taller than you. Stand up on my guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, girls. See you guys later. Oh, my. Thank you very much. See you guys later.
One more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
We're very sorry.
Jump in front of me.
There we go.
Nicely done, Harold.
How much did it took my mom? That one is here.
Yes, we'll be there. Oh, I guess. Yeah.
Nice job.
Great idea. I think real girls.
Thanks, everybody.
Nicely done. That's great.
Thank you, everybody.
That's your.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Right, we will jump back to, the gentleman who had a presentation or something you want to bring forward.
Yes,
Right.
I just have a little information about the mowers that I sell and,
I'll go ahead and have you state your name and actually who you live with them. If you want to stand up here, it'd be easier,
oh,
whichever you're comfortable doing.
I've got some packets. I'm told 5 would be enough.
We'll
But I need one myself. So we're down to 4.
That's all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah, just turn around.
So my name is Chris Planted. I live in St. Joe, about Heather Hills. I've had my business, Automatic Services, since 2019. It's a robotic mower. The mower has been around for a long time. I think the first plus farm robotic mower was back in 1995. It was kind of evolving. They had a wired system up until a couple years ago, and now they have this, what they call the Evo system. That's a wireless mower. So it basically works off of GPS, like a high-grade GPS, and it's got a standalone GPS unit they call an RTK system. That's kind of just precise mobile positioning, but and I must apologize, I didn't have too much time to prepare for all this, but I thought I'd just give you guys a base price of what one mower would cost, and one mower capable of doing 2.5 acres. I've got the ball fields on there, two of the ball fields are about 0.7 acre. And then, the larger one's about 1.4. I'm thinking one of these mowers could be the two smaller ones, or possibly even the larger one and the smaller one. I can't tell for sure until it gets out there and does it. You know, we'll take care of the two smaller ones, at least for sure. You guys got any questions about it?
You just had to have one antenna to cover that. What was the range of the antenna?
500 meters, so one antenna will get you basically that whole area over there.
So it would have the ability to be expanded to
Yes.
maybe football field or soccer
Oh, yeah.
field or something
Yep,
like that.
and there is a larger mower in that family that is capable of doing 18 acres. That one I did not put in the paperwork.
I think you better have the toe in the water right now.
Yeah,
But
just tread lightly. Figure you guys wouldn't want to dive in that deep until you see what these things can do, but it's, they're proven, they're tried and true. I have one on my property. It's an older model that uses wires, but I've had mine for 4 years now. I just replaced the battery in it for about $300 retail for a new battery, and it's back to cutting almost 7/8 of an acre. So I haven't mowed my grass in 4 years with basically a model smaller than what you guys are getting right now. And with these, you can change the angle of the pattern, you can change the pattern of mowing, you can change the angles, you can do a checkerboard. So it looks,
When you say it can do it 2 acres, what do you mean, like on a single charge? What do you mean by
Yeah,
2
okay.
acres at a,
there's actually,
what does
On
that
my
mean?
notes,
Can
it's
you
like,
clarify that?
it'll actually mow like it's 2,240 square feet per hour. So however long that takes, it will come back and charge. It charges for an hour and it mows for a little over 3. It'll come back, charge, go back out, charge for an hour, go back out for 3 hours. And the beauty, you can mow at night. You can mow whenever you guys want. It's all controllable through the app, whoever will be controlling the app. You can park it at any time. You can hook it up to, there's a couple third-party apps that will park the mower by itself and inclement weather was coming up, bad storms. But it can mow out in the rain, and they're made to be out of the weather and fully controllable by smartphones. And if you were to get another one, there's fleet services where you can control all your mowers at one time. You can park them all with a touch of a button. Maintenance, they're pretty maintenance free. There's for the blades, there's 5 double-sided razor blades on these things that you can change out with a Phillips head screwdriver. So just about anybody can take care of it.
How frequently do those have to be changed?
With being on a field like that, I'm thinking maybe twice a season, because you're not gonna have all the sticks and stuff in a normal yard right there. I think it's, I could be wrong, but it looks like it's fairly clean most of the time. I think mine twice a season on mine.
The blades have to be changed twice a season?
Yes,
How much are replacement blades? Is that in this packet?
replacement blades are about $30 for 2 sets. So that's it. And there is, there's plenty of other options, and there's solar panels. It's got its own, it's extra. I mean, it's not included, but if you guys ever chose to go that direction, I don't know if there was any government incentive for going green and having a solar panel powered lawnmower or something like that. It might be something to look into. But yeah, so.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you just got a picture here sitting out by the scoreboard.
Mhm.
Now, to set this up, would you have a hole in the fence, or could this traverse and go through one of the gates, or what?
I was out there looking at it. It needs about a 6-foot path to get through a gate. I know I said 2 earlier, but the old ones had a narrow passage thing. These do not have it. It's 6 feet wide because they avoid going in the same, it became the same exact path back to charging station every time you get tracking in your lawn. So it needs 6 foot because it varies off that center point to keep a track from going through there when it comes back. So it would need, I was thinking just one section of fence. You'd open up the gate, you know, when people are done playing ball, you open up the gates and you just let it do its own thing. So yeah, obviously that quote is just for the mower, just the essentials, the mower and the reference station that we could get it going. There's obviously more things to discuss, but I think this is just getting the ball.
What kind of warranty is on
So it's a full 2-year warranty. Full 2-year warranty.
So it can only do one ballpark and one of the fields unless there's somebody there at night after the game to open up the gate so that it could go from one field to the other. Is that what
Well,
you're saying? And then we'll be able to find its way back from one field back to the housing unit, wherever that's located.
yes,
Even if it's gone from one field to
So-
another.
the location is actually outside of all the fields. So unless somebody leaves the gate open, it won't be able to get into any of the fields. And there's fancy stuff out there that you can do, but as far as providing a product made for it as a gate opener or whatever, and plus I was thinking about it that that fence is designed to stop a baseball, it's designed to stop a kid coming into it, you know, running full speed. I wouldn't want to alter that design by any means. I'm thinking you already have gates out there in some of them. Well, I think in all of them, it's not in the right locations where this would be. And the location for the base station and reference station, I was out there looking at it. I mean, it's I'm still not 100% set. That's where we can talk about it if we were to come down to if there's a better place to put that. I mean, that looks like a great place out there by the middle field, and but that could change if it just wasn't feasible with putting a new gate in or whatever. I just have to go back out and look at it for a different approach. But yeah, I'm thinking right now that is a good spot. There's already power out there at that location. It's kind of out of the way from the main area. Kids aren't going to be out there as much. It's not like they're running around where the flag's at and stuff like that over there. And I just think it'd be out of the way. And another thing with the reference station being up on that pole, you know, I was thinking about foul balls, hitting it and stuff like that. You know, I always got to think of that. So I was thinking about actually putting the reference station over by the flagpole. I think that just guessing, it might not be as good of a chance of getting hit by a ball, but
Okay.
yeah, so it's just basic. It's but yeah, these things that they'll handle those 2 small fields. I can guarantee that.
How long will
But,
it take one to mow one of the fields?
one of the fields,
Like
I haven't done,
smaller fields, how long would it take it to mow
so
that much area?
that much area, I did like I said, it's 2,240 square foot per hour. I didn't do the math on that. It's it'll mow it at night. I think, pretty sure it'll mow it at night.
So
Like
we
the
could
whole
have,
night? It'll take the whole evening?
Yes, I'd say
They mow one.
the mow one.
But we could send it to 1 per night,
Yeah,
and so it could mow all 3 in that area.
well, I don't know about all 3.
Not at night, but
Each night.
each night, a different night.
Yes.
Like you do it in 3 nights.
Well, that
Three
one
fields.
field's getting fairly big. I can't,
Too big.
yeah. That might take 2 nights on it. There's a video. If you guys would like to, check out the video.
Do you have any other villages, municipalities, parks that do something like this already?
This would be, my breakthrough in, that market. I've sold 17 of the other robotic mowers. I've got, 5 just in the St. Joe, Champaign area. I've got some up north, but yeah, I've sold 17 of the other mowers, and this would be my first actual commercial sale. With, if it were to happen, I would treat the mower as my own. I would really want this to work out. Like I said, I live right down the road and I'd be able to come take care of it. I give you a year free of maintenance. Take care of the thing, like I said, like it's my own. And, but yeah, this would be my first sale like this, because this mower is designed for open areas, just like these fields. I mean, that's why this is what this mower is made for, and kind of a hard market to get into when it's somebody's job, you know, all the time. It's kind of a hard sale. So, I've tried, and but I just kind of just been waiting for a situation like this to go after the commercial side.
How far is the reference station? How far, like, you know, is it feasible to have that reference station, like you're talking about in the middle of the fields? How far away can it reach the, can they talk?
500 meters, that's like over a quarter mile. So it goes away. So it can cover most of that property, even on the other side of the road. It'll cover that one station can cover that whole basic south side of the road over there by the pavilion and everything. And one reference station can't control more than one mower. So if it were to get more mowers, it would just use the same reference station. So you wouldn't have to buy another reference station. That's why the price is separate on there. It doesn't come as one. You get it.
Well, how much would the building, the center out there where the concession stand, how much would that affect the placement of a reference station? Because you're
A
gonna,
lot.
okay, so if we expand it, let's just say to another ball field or football field or soccer field or something like that, we need to be very cognizant of the placement for that.
Yes, and I was already out there looking at that one spot that you talked about is it's got a very good line of sight for all 3 fields right now, all 3 baseball fields out there. So it's,
Okay.
I mean, I went out and I just kind of looked at it. You've got a real good line of sight to get to just about every corner out there from that location.
Okay.
But there's a little bit better location, I think, maybe by the flagpole, but like I said, it's still kind of up in there a little bit, but I think that location that we picked out would be good. The only thing I didn't like about that location was that if we put it over there and we took care of the 2 smaller fields, I don't think it was a good idea to take it through the field, like closest way. I thought it would be a good idea to take it around in case you did want to use that field and you want to mow it. You wouldn't have to traverse through there.
Okay.
So there's different options. And yeah, so there's multiple ways to do it, but I know it will take care of this.
Well, I think a lot of us just see if the trustees and there's enough interest here to pursue it, and we work out the logistics and other things as it comes to pass.
Yeah, and there's just a couple other things. I'd probably run a lift to put the reference up as high as possible, not too crazy high, maybe 15 feet, maybe 20 feet, but I'd probably run a lift to do that, and that'd probably just be a little more added cost. If you guys didn't have a piece of equipment that I could borrow, I don't know if the village has got a lift like that I can borrow, if somebody would donate something like that. But,
Are you talking about just the placement on the pole?
yeah, just on that one
Where like a
light
bucket
pole,
or bucket truck or something would.
bucket truck, yeah.
Okay.
I just don't want to get up there 25 foot on the extension ladder. I have one, but then against the pole is a little.
Okay.
All right, is there any other quick questions for him? Otherwise, we'll take your information. I think, Art must have your contact information.
Yeah, I've got some business cards too.
Okay.
You got-
Yeah, if you want to leave those, or at least leave one here with Joe, we can have one here in the office and. But if we have any other questions, we'll, send them through Art and Joe and,
Well, Max is the one Scott,
oh, okay.
I've been watching his mower out there in the yard and like an alien. So,
No, Max has one of the older style ones.
The thing that's intriguing about this, and that's having GPS, you don't have to have any underground wires. Where if it's aerated or anything like that, that won't become a factor.
Yeah, and one more thing, security is always an issue. We talked about kids messing with it. I can't predict that or anything, but before it gets stolen. It's got GPS, it gets picked up, it's gonna send an alert to whoever's in control of the phone. Somebody messes up, hey, it's been picked up, stuck, whatever happens to it, it's gonna send you an alert. It's got geofencing, if it gets outside of a certain area, that it'll start sending emails and everything.
Is there an alarm that goes off as well?
There is an audible alarm that will go off. It's toggleable, you can turn it,
Yes.
you can turn it on and off. It has headlights, so you can see it at night if it's working. That also toggle those on and off.
How much bigger unit is it than the one Max has?
It's basically the same size.
Okay,
So the biggest difference in that and what Max has is how it moves.
okay.
So Max's works kind of all nimbly bimbly, it's kind of,
It
it was
feels,
like a Roomba.
yeah,
This is systematic. This will do straight lines. They'll make a checkerboard out there. Make perfect straight lines, angles, everything else.
Is it loud?
No, it's 68 decibels. I think your normal dishwashers is a touch over. I think the good one's right around maybe 50, 48 or something like that for a good dishwasher. So it mows at night. Neighbors won't hear it.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
People who back up to it, the headlights.
You
the sound.
don't even think you hear it. I don't even think you hear it from the closest houses.
I never hear that one Max, I just look out and there's lights like an alien in the yard crawling.
I say, and once the alarm goes off, you won't hear it.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming out tonight, and thank you for being patient through all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Good night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
You did sign in with your information and stuff, did you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. So we will move on to Jim. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a pleasure to be back again. It's hard to follow the that with the all the high tech Roomba and the pom.
I know.
That's
We're here.
fantastic.
Yeah, where's your cheer?
That's funny because I was thinking coming out here, it was like you know the GI Joe, yo Joe. But anyway, I'm here to update the board on the quarterly report for economic development efforts that we've been doing in the last 3 months. And that's of course for the strategic plan. And that's in alignment with objective E1 of the strategic plan to actively pursue and support commercial office industrial development in the village. And then, of course, the plan requires us to do a quarterly report. So we're here for that right now. I just sent to you guys monthly reports. I'm sure Joe forwards those to you. If you guys have any questions, it'd be a great time to get those from tonight. But just to remind you guys, as we talked about before, economic development is a marathon. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but it's about just the constant activity, the constant effort, the constant being the squeaky wheel, if you will. God, I'm gonna be noisier than that mower, you know, that kind of thing. But over the last 3 months, we put in 29 hours towards economic development for the village. We had the contract is up to 20 a month, so we're averaging about 10 a month. Over the next couple months, activity will ramp up. We're going to see a lot of of activity in April as well as May. Probably taper off in June, but we'll see a pickup in activity. We've promoted I've been working hard on promoting the village for in the national conference coming up for the ICSC national conference. Have an appointment with East Street Bay, not Tree Bay, East, don't tell myself that, East Harbor. Morning Slope, East Harbor, so meeting them at the conference as well as trying to get in front of other regional and also national retailers and restaurants. The question I have for the board, you've seen the type of industries I'm reaching out to. I'm giving you those industries. Am I missing the mark? This is where I'm thinking that, I think there's solid fits for the community. Is there any business or industry that I'm leaving off? That you think, well, why not this one or why not them, that type of thing? If you can think of anything like that, just reach out to me or reach out to Joe, and Joe can let me know, and I can, because they're gonna be there. So if you're thinking, I would like to see this business in St. Joseph, and I'm not thinking of it, make sure you let me know, so I can make sure I get in front of them to talk to them about, hey, have you considered St. Joseph? I'll share the marketing materials with them, share the available properties with them as well. Really kind of ramped up our efforts. We came up, I took a bunch of photos of the available commercial properties and sending those photos directly to the retailers saying, hey, this is the site, this is the location, it's shovel ready, all utilities are present. All it's missing is you, and here's the photos of the site type of thing. So just trying to take away all the guesswork, that type of thing. Got some good, interest, and of course, nobody's signed any dotted lines yet. Some good interest, which is a good thing, but still trying to, reel them in, if you will. Made progress on the hotel. As you guys know, hotel study came back fantastic. So that was a good effort from the village moving forward that hotel study, even though we knew there was no guarantee it would come back feasible. It did come back feasible, which I thought it would. The village can support the hotel. Made contact with that hotel company. They were still interested. They gave us some homework to do. We've already began that homework. Joe sent me the potential site for that, being of course right there off of North 3rd Street, so we sent that to them it's today. She's got it. She's sending it in for her engineer to do a site plan on that. So they're working in that angle. Our homework, besides that part, is going to be working with connecting them to a local bank. So when I talked to Joe about who he thought we could reach out for that, we have 2 different people reach out for that. They want to make contact with a local bank, share the pro forma, get some term sheets drawn up, and then allow us to kind of help raise some interest for local investors, because they want to work with local investors on their side as well. So we'll drive up some local interest for investments. Once we have local investors at the table, then they can bring in regional investors as well to seal the deal. And also they will put money towards the project to seal the deal. They did ask about a TIF. They said, is the TIF in place yet? I told them that the village is working on the TIF. So no, not yet. It's not in place yet. But I said, we're also in the process, infantile stages of working towards an enterprise zone. So that's something that Joe and I have been talking about. I reached out to the state, reached out to Ben Denny with DCEO. I reached out to Champaign County, as well as the city of Urbana, about tapping into their enterprise zone. Really, I thought it'd be beneficial for the village to have your own enterprise zone. Knowing that the state kind of really tightened up on the amount of enterprise zones they authorized within the state back in the mid-2010s, if you will. So Ben Denny said from the state that that's probably more than likely not going to happen individually. However, he recommended reaching out to a neighboring zone. So I reached out to Champaign County. They referred me to Urbana. I reached out to Urbana. They declined. They did not want to extend their zone over here. So gave it a good yeoman's effort. Interesting thing though was just last week, Tuscola called me. It says, Jim, I used to be with Urbana, now I'm with Tuscola, and we're interested. So Tuscola wants to extend, they're in Sidney. They've extended their zone from Tuscola, Douglas County, to Sidney for a solar farm. And they're interested in extending it farther to come into to service St. Joseph through their enterprise zone, which would be fantastic. So we just had some preliminary conversations about that Monday morning. So I'm kind of extending into this current board. We had a conversation Monday morning about that. And then Joe asked about, do I know of communities that have successful enterprise zones? The answer is absolutely yes. You know, because of course Effingham has this fantastic enterprise zone, pulls together, we're in right now, Charleston had two fantastic enterprise zone, Champaign, Decatur. If you can think of a larger cities, they have the zones. And basically the benefit for enterprise zone is it's really a win-win for both the community and the developer. Because the community, of course, gets to be able to incentivize the business. It's a local tool. I always say basically for municipalities, which the village is a municipality, you have three basic tools that you can use for economic development. Three core tools. I look for a toolbox just to emphasize it. Three core tools. TIF, powerful tool. Business district, sales tax, business district, powerful tool. Enterprise zone, which is powerful. That's basically your trifecta of your tools. If you don't have those tools, you're competing at a competitive disadvantage. However, the enterprise zone, if we can partner with the Douglas County, I guess they're taking Douglas County Economic Development. Now they can partner with Douglas County Economic Development and bring the enterprise zone up here, then we'd be able to position our current businesses, our commercial businesses and other properties as well as we can draw up on that, put them in a spot where we can assist them for future growth on the expansions themselves or new builds. You know, so basically what that basically does is for the business owner or the developer, it takes away that sales tax. They don't have to pay that sales tax on their building materials. That's a substantial win. You know, it's a substantial win. Also, they get investment tax credit for their projects. And on top of that too, there's a tax abatement. So it's a win for the developers and incentivizes to grow. And it's a tool that we can hopefully tap into if the village decides they want to do it. And of course, Douglas County is open to doing it as well. But we still have to work through all of that. But timeline on that, as I told the hotel company, it's a marathon. It could take about a year, you know, and when we start the process, it could take about a year to actually before the enterprise zone would go to. So, but they are going to talk with Ben Denny from DCO in early May, and they're also going to talk to the Enterprise Zone Association and their enterprise zone consultant in early May as well about what we're thinking about doing. They asked Joe and I to come up with a map of properties we'd like to see included. They're going to get to work on it to see if it fits within their geographical footprint of how far they can come to expand themselves. So making progress there as well. As far as the, I think I've covered most of it. Mary Packard, she owns property on East Warren Street. Does anybody know Mary Packard? And she's, according to Google, she's in her 70s, and she lives up north in one of the Chicago suburbs. I've reached out multiple phone calls, also by snail mail. I thought maybe just snail mail would get me there, but still not responsive. But I would love to be able to see if we can work her property for her. You know, she owns the property right in between the is it the Shell station in Casey's?
Oh, so that's the one that's only, that they only would entertain medical or health or something, right?
That's been our understanding through the years is.
I'm trying to figure that out, you know.
Yeah, I don't know that we've had a good contact number for years, and that's always been our understanding with it for, and I think even the fire department had tried to reach them at one time. When they were looking for a spot for the new fire station.
I've got a number off of the internet, but it just goes to voicemail, leave messages, and then of course I sent a snail mail.
Yeah, and I don't.
My understanding was she was a hard no, like that property is not coming out of my hands, which may be why you're not getting a call back.
I tried reaching out to her at one point. I was gonna offer to mow her lawn for free for advertisement, and
Location.
no,
Yeah.
couldn't have a better one. And I left her many voicemails, same thing as you probably got the same number.
Yeah.
I've tried even contacting relatives and everything, leaving, hey, I want to just mow your grass for free. But I never, yeah,
Who's mowing it now?
what's that?
Who's mowing it now?
I haven't looked at it.
Just, that's a good question.
Somebody's mowing it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a mower there.
That's not, I haven't either.
Yeah.
Maybe once.
Yeah.
Sure they're not doing it for free. Don't be fan.
Have you tried mailing her a letter?
Yeah.
Ever.
That's what you said, snail mail.
Oh, is that there?
No, I've multiple phone calls and I thought, well, I'm just gonna do a letter, you know.
Sorry, Jim, I really wish this would have been more helpful, but.
No, it's generating conversation.
Yeah, well, it reminds here that, because I know Todd's an ex, board member too, and he's lived in the community for a long time and.
If you land that one, you're gold.
Appreciate that.
Whatever they're paying.
Yeah, especially right now when it's getting in the mowing season.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Mike would probably know who's mowing. it.
Yeah, if you can find out where the checks are coming from, I can bet you follow that.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, if I'm not Facebook or somebody will know. Okay, I'll find out.
You guys have a question, bring suggestions.
I got a question. Okay, what's the advantage for the enterprise zone for Douglas County? And what do they get out of that?
It's
There
money.
was in their mall. Hello.
So basically, they're doing the same thing, like when I worked for Effingham zone. We had to reapply, the state readjusted all the enterprise zones and basically said, if you have an enterprise zone. Current, it's going to expire and you have to renew. So basically, everybody in the state had to apply for a new zone, that's brand new. So when you do that, that's the opportunity to expand your zone. So when you expand, we took in Teotihuacan, and people ask, what's the value of that? The value of this is it's regional economic development. Everybody wins, and when the region's growing, everybody wins, and also that's the indirect value, because they don't get the tax money, of course, that's St. Joseph. The indirect value is the business that goes in there. Say, for example, we land, let's just say, for example, we land McDonald's, or one that I continue to reach out to as well. McDonald's goes into that lot. We'll say it goes right there, okay? And they take advantage of the enterprise zone. Well, there's a administrative fee associated with that benefit. So they'll get it. So they'll save, like, for example, on the sales tax fee, I'm just gonna, I have, each place is a little bit different. They'll save 6% on their sales tax for building materials, which is substantial on a new build. You know, it's a multi-million-dollar building. They're saving 6% on their sales tax. Douglas County gets a quarter of that percent.
Okay.
So the village doesn't pay it. McDonald's would have had to pay it to the state, but now it was Douglas County, and they keep the rest. That's the benefit. And that's why if you can regionalize and help out multiple communities, the village doesn't pay, but the village benefits from that. McDonald's saves money and Douglas County makes.
Okay.
It's a win-win.
I have a question.
Yep.
Go, go, go.
Oh, no, you go first.
No, ma'am. You go.
So my question is, and so you're presenting to like major businesses, franchises, chains, things like that. Is there any way to target like smaller businesses as well?
I'm
Like,
doing that too.
okay,
Yes.
that's what I kind of wondered, like clients things, or, you know, like just not necessarily one-offs, but you know,
Yeah, what I try to use is CBC, and I refer to them as like regional.
there,
I try to figure out who's moving, who's developing regionally.
yeah,
And see if it's a fit, or are they going into similar markets, and then I reach out directly to them.
okay,
Yeah, but,
right, people who may not, they're not gonna be at
exactly
conference
right.
with your hat, but
Exactly.
they might be looking to get a second location.
Well,
Great.
the one I've been really working on, a regional one like that, is ginger ales.
Okay.
You already familiar with them?
I have heard of them.
They're popping up everywhere, but they're going in smaller communities, Robinson, Newton, you know, so.
They're going to some boys.
Yeah.
Yes.
boy.
So, and so I'm thinking, okay, and on my other life, I'm a football official for high school. And so I go to a lot of small towns, and guess what, they're like ginger ale, something, I gotta see if I can pull from them, but I reached out to them multiple times, and I think they're getting tired of hearing from me. But it's okay. So, for them, what they want, for ginger ales, is they want a local franchisee that's interested. Because I've seen the property, so usually they said, they tell me I'm going backwards, for their business model is a little backwards, they usually have a franchisee, and then you try to plug them into the community. I'm showing them the community, and they said, well, give me a franchisee first, and then we'll put the community in, that type of thing, so.
A lot of it is, finding the perfect lot for to match the business. And, that's probably, my opinion is that's one of the hardest things, is getting a motivated landowner that has the lot, that has the dimensions they need for their development.
The good thing is, you have some good lots.
Yeah, so, so we, we just gotta play the matchmaker, basically. It'd be, we're trying to get our property owners to be a little bit more, proactive in advertising it, so I think we're kind of getting them out of their shell a little bit by advertising for them, basically. Hopefully that, that helps put a light on them.
Currently have open spots downtown or not really, like on this? It feels like we should, but I also don't ever see anything really advertising.
Yeah, well, the one little spot, these two country chicks, is actually,
Yes.
a little event center, or, you can run it by the hour type of a thing. The one across the street that used to be Scratch, I still have not heard what the status is on that. It looks like there's some movement going on in there.
That's what Debbie said.
Yeah, but
My nail lady says that it is coming along.
yeah,
She inquired recently.
Yeah.
and Yeah.
so, and I haven't heard from them either, so I don't know how
Where
close
that's
that
at,
is,
yeah.
or they haven't approached me. So, but other than that, I mean, we have the mini mall that's still open with, potential there.
And I think the park was just doing a job of there.
They do, and there's several places moving as well, which we know, yes, so that was gonna be my question and comment about that, is that I don't feel that he's a good neighbor to us, taking care of that building. I mean, I belong to Zone since I've been in this town. And it is what it is. I mean, he doesn't do anything to make it any better. I feel like we have such potential with that mall where it could be offices, it could be a gazillion things. But there has to be some work done on that building, and I just don't know how that happens, so, yeah.
She contacted me at the end of the year and said that she had a multi-office, multi-use plan that she was gonna roll out this.
So it's a woman that owns it? I thought it was the owner of the zoo, or the zone, yeah, the zoo, it's the zoo too.
A lady contacted me.
Okay, so she must.
It might be his wife or something, yeah.
Now, she reached out to Joe, so I gave her, Joe connected her to me, I talked to her about it, and she had an interesting business model. That she wanted to create an open mixed use, what do you want to call that, like a mixed,
So kind of like the school and,
yeah.
we went and saw, yeah,
It's like a
multi-purpose, or, yeah.
a work area where you have
Yep.
multiple offices, people can come together, brainstorm, that type of thing.
Oh, okay, so you mean to open the concept of,
Like a picture.
Like,
yeah.
Sure, sure, that's it. Yeah,
Like large, like
Yeah.
yes. You had a question?
I did, so when you discussed commercial property availability with multiple retailers. So then what availability are you talking about? Like what locations are we marketing?
Primarily right off of 74, and then we've been,
Aside from, because
North Third Street.
right,
North
for
Third
that, and if we do or do not get a hotel, then where else are you?
Yep, so basically, there's multiple properties on North Third Street, there are actually businesses and buildings there that are available. So I'm talking to them about those as well, so I've talked to those property owners and are wanting to sell.
Mhm.
So those properties, as well as these, there's, of course, the lot across from Mary Pepper's.
Mhm.
So that one as well, and then, of course, those are the primary ones I'm focusing on.
And that's across from Packers at Zone Commercial.
That would be,
No, that is not zoned
That's not,
commercial.
well, yeah,
But
that's
it's,
our.
I'm still pushing it.
Yeah.
You have the authority to change it, so, and it's right there off the commercial highway, the commercial roadway.
we're just making sure people know it's available. If you decide you don't want it, you can say no.
That's right, you can make the call, but, I'm just trying to, if it's empty green space that could be developed into something meaningful for the village, try my best.
Does ginger ales, don't they require a drive-through?
Yes, it is.
Cause that would, about, since we have like the Blood Spot and Geshank. Yeah, everybody was drive-through.
We could get both of those places.
With the 74 corridor, we're trying to tap into businesses that will draw customers off the interstate because the community's
That's right,
underdrawn from that client base historically.
and I'm trying not to,
Saturate,
chew into the businesses that you already have.
exactly.
Some of them be successful, right? So I'm trying to bring new things, that type of thing, and not, like I said, saturated, yeah. But if you're thinking of something that I'm missing, or if there's a.
I mean, I don't have anything outside my head.
Okay, yeah. But I'm open, because this is the time, because it's this is gonna be, like I said, especially with the hotel movement. And with the, and I'll be able to push that in Vegas, the national competition say, I'll be able to push that there as well. And then, it's a limiting effect. When people see interest and they have interest as well, it's just like, back in high school when you're dating, you don't have a date until you have a date and everybody wants to go out. Same thing, I don't know why, that's economic development.
I remember that long ago.
If you have any thoughts on things for us to avoid,
Yes.
please let us know, because we don't want to waste a bunch of time with a retailer if we know you're gonna have an allergic reaction to it, so if you just let us know. But other than
That's
that,
as well.
we want to recruit things that meet the need of the community, but also, you all have stated that you don't want to increase taxes on your citizens. And so we are actively trying to increase your tax costs so you can have more revenue to do the things your citizens want without having to tax them more. So this is part of it. We're trying to get people here. But please let us know. And we'll work on it.
I think the one thing I would suggest to avoid, and just so it wouldn't undermine, and that's a Dollar General. That's the one thing, I mean, they seem to be popping up everywhere, but I'd hate to see it undermine IGA.
All right, did you read the article in IML?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
The new one,
Yes.
the new one I just picked up here, no, I haven't got that.
Okay. They had a very interesting article in reference to Dollar Generals and what it can do to a community or not to. Interesting article. I would encourage everybody to kind of read it as we're looking at economic development. So.
You got some curious moment at that age.
Thank you very much. Call me, give me a question.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next thing is, the consideration for the pre-annexation agreement and waiving of certain provisions. We talked a little bit about this a couple meetings ago. Mark.
And we've
Thank you.
Joe's trying to talk me into doing a 2-hour presentation on it, but I said no.
Oh.
I talked to the surveyor for the property owner earlier today, and Joe and I've had various conversations. The short version is this will get kicked off to a meeting in 2 weeks. And I think at that point, what you'll see instead of pre-annexation agreement is will be a direct annexation package, because it looks to be like it's contiguous enough that we ought to be able to annex the whole thing.
Well, we will wait for you to bring that
Wait.
and explain it to us then. So, the next item is the England family request to reconfigure their lots. It sounds like a pretty simple thing. I mean, it sounds like it was just something that happens over time with properties in the country, and even in the old parts of town, sometimes those things occur, so.
I wanted, sorry, Mayor, I
Oh,
just-
you're fine.
that point needs to be drilled home when somebody drives about zoning. That they need to look at this picture that's included in your packet, because that kind of stuff happens whenever you don't have building permits, people build pools on your property. And they put sheds on your property, so this is why it's important. And I want everybody to show this picture in the future if anybody ever gripes about that stuff, this is why we do it. But this is outside of the corporate limits, and I'm just getting a straw poll if you're okay with these two property owners reconfiguring their lots, and then if you are, we'll do a resolution and package it up.
So, so you have all you need on that one then?
Yep,
Okay.
and zoning matters.
All right, yes. Yeah, we do still occasionally have that pop up here in our own town, I mean, because the older part of town and stuff, it happens and.
Well, does everyone here remember what happened to Oakwood? They didn't pass zoning and then they got the XXX bookstore. Out of the.
Yes, and that's another thing with lack of zoning, sometimes you get.
Gotta look at sales tax again.
Yeah.
That came out of your body part. Go on. Not touching that one part.
There's right and then you.
So, all right, the next thing on the agenda, is the consideration of the design service proposal through Reef Stack, Wakefield Canning Company. In your packet, I can let Joe explain it. Joe and I did meet with, these architects. The village have used these architects before on lots of different little projects, and I think they're kind of the standard ones that does a lot of municipalities, but and Clark Deeds uses them considerably, but I was disappointed that it came in as high as it did, and we talked to him a little bit about cutting out a couple things, so I'll let Joe kind of explain that. He had the conversation with her, but basically what it is, you know, we have our ideas, and especially you that haven't seen the building yet. You know, now that we have the building in our possession too, we need to set you up to look at it too, so you have a visual on what we're talking about, but there's certain design work that, you know, when we do it, I don't want to just clumsily do it and then, you know, 10 years down the road say, gosh darn, I wish we would have thought of that, or, you know, wish we had, you know, revamped that a little differently to make the maximum use out of it. So anyways, that's why it's important sometimes to get an architect. A general contractor can also do some of the things that, you know, maybe as opposed to some of this here, but I think the actual layout and stuff, I think is maybe important to have an architect figure some of those details out. I know back in the day when I redid my kitchen, I was, as much as I hated to spend the extra money on a interior designer, it sure paid off in the end, because my thinking might not have been very conducive to a functional kitchen either. So so anyway, Joe, I'll let you kind of discuss what you had talked with them about.
So yeah, like the mayor said, that this is they're a well-respected architecture firm in the region. They've done a lot of buildings in the Champaign County area. So I have no doubt that they're fully competent to be able to do the work. They have, when you see civil analysis, and that would be the portion with Clark Deeds to do that work for us, and then also the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing analysis. They'll be able to, I don't know, they hire another third party to do that work. I'm not trying to pressure you into doing this tonight. I really want you to, you know, read through the email that was the conversation between you and Elsa, and then look at the quote, and then maybe we come back and talk about it at a later time. But what I would say is, like the mayor said, she wants to try to do it right, because we want to be an asset for the community long term, and I don't feel that we have this staff capacity to be able to design this and to facilitate all the input and make it great for the community. I think we need to hire somebody in some capacity to be able to do this work for us. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not,
Will they do structural evaluation for load bearing? Say, well, let's just say, we know it needs a roof, so if you did a metal roof and you put a solar panel or something, will that be included in that?
that's
Or
the
do
way
we
I.
need to go ahead and include that, different ideas or thoughts prior to that? Approving any kind of, yes.
I'm pretty sure when we talked to them in person, they mentioned analysis like that, but I'll clarify that so you guys see it in writing, but I'm pretty sure that's included.
Okay.
I have a question for Tammy. Have you ever worked with Farnsworth Group before? Okay. They're also in our chair.
No, I know there's a concern on building, I think not legal tomorrow, but I will look. Having not seen the building is. This have to be, does it require design and reconfiguring before it can be used for anything? Or is this more to kind of deal with the sanctuary to make it more of a community type space where there's like office there? Like I said, I haven't been in there, I have no idea what it looks like, so.
You know, that's an interesting question because like Joe said, I think as far as throwing it on our people to do, I mean, I think they could do some things. If it was just a matter of moving walls or different things, because currently they have Sunday school rooms and things that were in the basement. And there's a kitchen downstairs. The thing that we would have to look at, plus there's an area that is upstairs that was like a nursery or something that I think would be a good location to have our main office for people to come in and things. But yeah, the sanctuary,
But it's not like a straight. These guys could go into that room, it would require a wall movement or they.
There's gonna be a significant amount of that, and then,
in the basement more so, yeah.
well, then upstairs though, I mean, there's stairs that are in a very good application too, which is.
I think we'd have to make an ADA accessible.
It just,
We think we do.
well, if you're, it depends on how you want to separate the buildings. You want the basement to not be public access, which I very encourage to not make it public access. Then I think you can get away with getting out of those ADA requirements if you're under a certain staffing level, is the way I understand it. I don't think that's the route to go, but with where the stairs are, you're gonna need to have a reception area up top, no matter what. And the stairs are like in the way, so you would need to. There needs to be some work there, and I can't really envision what needs to be done there. And I think that we have 7 different opinions on what would need to be done with it too, also, which is the benefit of having somebody like this, or if it's not this firm, it's somebody that can be that.
I mean, also time pressure is really that. We're currently paying for multiple buildings, whereas we could be marketing the one for consolidated into, is that right?
Right. So, because as far as the outside and stuff, because at some point, we've talked with Park Beach before about someday if we needed the field space and things behind it for retention things, but with some of the other work that we're doing now, that's not near as critical as it was years ago, because of the stormwater plan that we're able to work on currently. But even if we use the outside space too, you still want to keep that in mind, whatever design work that would be for any of your green space or future parking. And then, if you did ever expand off of that building, you don't want to do a bunch of stuff on the inside a certain way. And then years down the road, if for some reason you wanted to, expand from the building for whatever reason, you want to make sure that that's sort of kept in mind too. What would that look like? So, the biggest thing is planning ahead for the future, so you don't have to undo a bunch of stuff that you paid to do. And, make it most functional for, what we can, get some good use out of it for now for office space. And then I know my senior citizens are really excited about getting to use it for their senior functions, and that way they have room to grow and have more space for their meetings and bingo and all the fun things they like to do. And because I know it's pretty tight when they all get in here sometimes even, so. But anyway, but no, please, let's set up a time for those who haven't seen it to go over and look at it, because I think it'll be very beneficial for you to have a visual on what it looks like.
Yeah.
And maybe you have some ideas and suggestions too, so.
This part on here, I had not, at least I don't recall there being any discussion about converting the western portion and possibly into a community park plus outdoor recreational courts. I mean, is that something you're thinking about for like sometime down the road, but none of us are on the board, because as we don't even, how are we gonna add another park and additional courts when we don't even have the funding to
That was
keep
just,
the rest of the parks up to date? We don't have a designated, funding source for any of Parks and Rec.
I don't disagree with you. I think what the mayor was just saying is it's giving you a vision for the future if you want to expand and do something like that.
Yeah.
What's gonna be laid
If
out.
you did, so whatever space you're using there, if that was ever to happen, you wouldn't want to say put your kitchen right in a spot where there would be the expansion. You would maybe want to put a kitchen somewhere where if any expansion came about, it would be an open area that would be easier to expand off of. But yeah, I have no idea if that is a future. I know there's a couple other things that are floating around in the air out there that I'm actually having a meeting with, Joe and I are meeting with a couple of people on Thursday about a couple ideas, so yes, that's way down the road.
Basically, this is gonna lay out phases. And then you all can determine, we want to do phase 1 through 3 right now. And then keep phases 4, 5, and 6 on the shelf for whenever funds allow, or when it becomes a priority or whatever. So that way, it's not like we're just doing something random. And there's a plan in place whenever, money becomes available or becomes necessary, but.
I think where we need to start is the very basic function of trying to get all of our offices under one roof, is I think a big priority. And then also, to make that sanctuary space bigger, so that we do have a bigger area for our meetings and, for the locals. I know I was over at the city building this weekend for a shower, and that's what they have their offices in that space, and then they have a area. I don't know if you guys have been over to their community building, which is their village offices and things, but it was a shower, and it was just nice that they had a little kitchen and everything. It wasn't huge, but it was nice that people could rent it, and like they had probably 60 people there, and they had plenty of space. But I envision something like that that'd be feasible for people to do birthday parties and funeral showers, senior citizens, those type of things. And I think some of those things would be pretty easy to get to that point for now. And then the bigger and better things are, we said, things that we can plan for the future. So.
And with that expansion area though, which I know it wouldn't happen now or be in the future, but is that the same place where, because I haven't been there either, where FFA farms, where we just signed the IGA with FFA that they can farm there?
That was
Or whatever.
understanding that location has been discussed for years and years about being a great location for stormwater improvements.
Yeah.
And they understand with the recent acquisition of other farmland that they can farm that as well, but knowing that if we do any stormwater improvements, they might just be shifted to that one other piece of farm ground that's been, they're allowed to farm, basically. That's still, and that's part of the benefit of having that laid out in phases, is that if you decide to do that, which any stormwater improvement you can make, I think is beneficial, but. Anyway, I'm not asking you to make a decision tonight, I'd like you just to,
Review it and kind of get an idea in your head about it, so.
I got a comment. I mean, I think we do need to look, is this something we might want to have a request for proposals? Where somebody come in, it might be Farnsworth, it might be the Reef Stack, it might be somebody else and say, we're looking right here at this building to make a city building. And this is the thing, but we're also looking at the other aspects of that and let them get a preliminary design and just say, okay, see what you think. As it is, it's kind of, that's what.
Okay.
Is that something we should be going ahead and have a request for proposals, see what other ideas people come up with, that how they can reconfigure that building?
they're not gonna wanna do the design work.
Right.
They're not gonna wanna take the time to design the building and then we might pay them, you know, they're gonna wanna get paid, then do the design work. They're gonna wanna have us for contract before they, you know what I mean?
Well, there again, I mean, wouldn't it be a healthy competition with some others?
If you're wanting to do an IGA or not IGA, sorry, an RFP for design services, I would need, that's fine, I think, but we would need to make sure that we're not in a conflict with any other services agreements that we have.
I'm just asking that question, because it seems to me like, okay, if you were going to build a house, you might have different ones draw, they may not give you the blueprint for the house, but they'll say, here's a conceptual design. And you go ahead and this is what we're looking at, this seems feasible. You talk about relocating stairways, this and that, and then go from there. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, it seems like
And they're not, I don't think you're going to get anybody that's going to give you design, a real high level design unless they're under contract. I think you're going to be basically looking at their qualifications at this point and then making the determination who you want to design it for you. I don't think they have like a spec building that they can show you different layouts.
well, not that, I'm just asking for, you know, roughed out, this is what we envision, reconfigure this, just kind of an idea where you look at that. I don't see any, I don't mind signing an agreement, but I don't want to come in after the fact and just say, well, why didn't we put a stairwell over here or do this or change this around a little bit?
Which is why we're hiring, what I would say is that's why I want you all to hire somebody to do this, because if we try to do it in-house, we're gonna have that. We're gonna have this thing where we have 7 different opinions on where something should be.
Disagree with that.
But I think it's totally fair if you all would like to get a request for qualifications, I guess would be a better way to view it, to see if there's different firms that you'd like to use. That's totally, it's up to you, and I think it's fair. It's not unreasonable, but
well, I mean, I'm just asking a question. Tammy mentioned Farnsworth, you know, one of the others. I don't know if they do anything like, who does those kind of things.
And that's why I think Joe's gonna check into it too, because I don't know what our ties to Clark Deeds, if that has any factors into who we use for something like this, or.
I can look into that. So if you all want to have a follow-up conversation on this, I can kind of get a feel for that.
And in the meantime, please set up with me or Joe or somebody, and we can go over and look at the building, so. Okay.
Tammy, can I make just a quick comment? Would there be any chance that you would eliminate confusion for any future projects by changing the nomenclature that you have in the title of this study that you're looking to do? I think the title of it includes community center. And I think going down the road in the near future, I think it's going to be very important that we separate a community center with a bingo senior citizens hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I,
and-
you know, and I agree, because I know I've had this conversation with you and a few other people, it's, there's a lot of different people, and I'll just say, if you don't mind, Todd, that we're having a meeting Thursday.
Sure.
I prefer to kind of let the cat out of the bag. But actually, there's a couple people in the community who are looking at the feasibility of, and we're gonna have some initial meetings and things talking about a community building. But there's a lot of times different definitions of what a community building is. And so that's why I think Todd's getting at is, you know, you don't want necessarily people in the community thinking that this here is necessarily gonna be anything like Royal. I mean, it's the sanctuary and stuff, but it may be, I think she said roughly that day, it could maybe seat up to 100 people, depending on the layout of the tables and stuff. So it'd still be a nice area for a lot of things that a lot of people, most people might wanna do. But it is gonna be your larger scale community type center that maybe some people envision to have in this community. Probably not. I mean, the footprint's just not there to necessarily be that. And the same thing when you talk about an area that could potentially have indoor pickleball or something like that. I mean, even what you guys are thinking about doing, I mean, they'll have an open space, it'll be open. And it would be an all-purpose floor maybe that you could do a variety of different things in it potentially. But you know, like I said, those are early discussions, you know, there, but
Yeah, I'm just asking to not confuse the public with this. Because if this comes through and we go for, you know, out to the public, this is what we're wanting to do, this is how it's gonna go, well, we don't wanna have them say, well, this village is doing a $43,000 study on village hall and community building.
right.
What are you doing? What is this all about? And it sounds like from your discussions that really this is the village hall,
Yes,
that you're going to use the architect to redesign to use for a village hall.
Right.
That would also function just like this. We don't call this a community room.
right.
This is the village hall, municipal building.
People come in, they're gonna ask for city hall.
Yeah, and
So-
some people call this the municipal building, some people call it village hall.
Right.
And so, yes, community gathering area or whatever it might be, yes, it gets confusing when you say, because it is community space for them, just at a different scale.
I just want to eliminate
Right,
as
right.
much confusion
And
as
it's,
possible.
and it's a good point, because if you guys move forward with more planning for that, yes, you don't want people to get confused on what we're doing, if we're doing two things.
Well, somebody coming into town and they're looking for services from the building, says they're gonna ask you where city hall at. And since all the functions, all the staff, office are gonna be there, that's where they don't wanna go.
Village Hall, yeah. Doesn't Homer refer to their multi-use building as Village Hall?
And people can often rent to Village Hall, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I know through the years I've been at this, it's been sometimes village hall, sometimes it's the municipal building.
Yeah.
But it's not the community center.
Right.
Yeah, it's not,
We can agree on that. It is
Yeah,
not.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I don't think it should be called community center, I mean, I think with community space available, you know, however that may be, but referring to it, the building as village hall is
Just to
fine,
be
or
sure.
municipal building.
It does,
Whichever, yeah. Good point, though. So, but anyway, so please look into that, and then we can further the discussion on how we proceed the next meeting or whatever. So the next thing is Joe has in front of you. This was something that Joe has worked with in other communities that he's been at with this. I think Illinois just started doing it, not so. Is that your understanding? Because I know I just read it in the IML.
They're really bad at advertising.
Yeah, because I just read about it probably last month's magazine, or no, it was some other day that came across that the comptroller's office mentioned that they offered this service, and so I threw it out to Joe, and but I do think it's something new. Maybe Illinois has just started doing it, so I will kind of let Joe explain because he's looked into it. I just kind of threw it at Joe and say, hey, what about this?
So, yes, this is similar to the program that we used in the state of Kansas. It's almost like a model that they're modeled off of the same thing. Basically, we don't have a good way to collect on debts owed to the sewer enterprise fund. Whenever somebody is no longer a resident in the village. So if they up and move, we don't have the ability to shut the water off, transfer the balances, anything like that. They're no longer an account holder. And with that said, you have a list of old debts prior to April 2017, and then debts that are more current from April 2017 to now. We would only, in this program, we would only be able to go back to April 2017 for old debts. And it would be for people that specifically are no longer current account holders. The way that it works is anybody that receives money from the state, tax returns, or anything that would come from the comptroller's office, debts that are owed in that are taken out first prior to them receiving their payouts. And so that's how we ensure that we get, what's owed to the enterprise fund. It's a free service. It doesn't cost us anything. We just have to have an IGA with the comptroller's office, which if you all are okay with us proceeding with this, we should be able to have that prepared hopefully by next meeting to get that going. Every month that we wait, there's old debt that doesn't that falls off and being eligible for this program. So it is, not hair on fire urgent, but it is pretty urgent to do something quickly, because if you look through the list, there are debts that do fall off, soon. We have old debt from prior to 2017 and about $11,000. And we have old debt since 2017, which is about $17,000. So I think that you need to, when you're looking at doing community services, you could be much more of a nonprofit type of mindset. Your sewer fund is a different animal. You have to view that like you're running a business, in the same sense that England or American Water has to make ends meet. And these funds should be in the sewer fund currently, but they're not, they're outstanding. Now, if somebody moved out of state and they have no business or ties or will receive any money from the state of Illinois, they skipped out, basically. The state doesn't have the ability to collect on this any further. We'd have to do some sort of collections effort on our own. But beyond that, we're basically just reconciling our outstanding balances from the past and trying to get those. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I think you should do it. And if you're okay with it, just need to know, and we'll get all the stuff ready for it.
So do you need a motion to approve this now, or
I just
on the IGA?
Yeah, if you want to make a motion to say, yeah, we want Joe, and then Mark eventually to review this IGA and have it in place for you. Hopefully by the second meeting in April, that'd be great.
I'll make a motion that we approve the enrollment guide with the comptroller.
Yeah.
Comptroller, State of Illinois, contingent upon the intergovernmental agreement, and work in conjunction with the city attorney and administrator.
I will second that, but I have questions. I'm approving, but have all these people on this list been sent like collection letters? Because I'm astounded at how many people I know on this list. I'm like,
Prior to 2018, I don't have a lot of confidence that it was done. Now, I mean,
I'm new and not the one that doesn't qualify.
yeah, so
They've all been sent letters.
yes. And definitely after a certain point, 2019. Prior to that, we'll look through our record and see what we have, just to make sure. But we have a procedure that's outlined in our ordinance, and we'll look and make sure that those notices that have been sent out in compliance with that.
Cause I have to say that I can tell you that people moved residents and they still live in the community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's another thing that, as part of our growth.
Mhm.
We are going to, be working with them and making sure that, some of them have credits that would never apply. So when you see a minus,
Mhm.
they'll have a credit, so they'll have a positive letter.
Mhm.
So that's a good letter to get.
Right.
The other one is like, if I live in my house and I just move out. I can just leave it
Right.
$120 balance and go look across the street. And we hadn't been sending it, which is not the way we should be doing business.
So, but when people.
That's exactly what it is, which is, we have.
When people are customers and they move within the city, they call, like, everything's electronic.
Sometimes they don't call us, and sometimes they just skip out.
Okay, and I'm telling you, I can tell you that on this page, there's someone who calls and they say when they moved. And then they moved to the other place, and then, so I'm just telling you, I think we have some things, some discrepancies to talk about.
Okay,
And we can do that after the meeting, that's fine.
sure.
Yeah, it's been an evolving thing through the years, trying to improve this process and. It's always difficult, to do that, but
So the people that have credits on here then, are we supposed to be sending them a refund?
We need to reconcile it. Yeah, I think you need to reconcile your accounts out and that's what my recommendation is, to make the accounts.
Yeah.
Reconcile.
and there's some that we do from time to time that we give them credits so they come in and actually come and get their credits. Some don't, which is crazy. I always want to get my credits back because I'm a money. Absolutely, yeah, so, all right, if there's no other questions on that, or you can check with, Joe, have other.
So we're gonna do a vote. You were the second.
Yes,
Yeah, and you can help me clarify that, Joe, tomorrow,
Yeah,
okay? Rack,
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Wolfensberger.
Yes.
Cummings.
Yes.
You still wanted a second after you got your answer, right?
Yes.
Okay, under old business, with the discussion with the solar out at the parks, what more are you needing more information from the board as far as, or did you find out anything from them when,
yes, so in the packet, we have an email conversation you asked about. If they could reconfigure their arrangement to have enough space for if you have a community building out there, and the answer is yes, they can be flexible.
and I think after our meeting on Thursday, we'll have a little more information, maybe on some of the thinking on that too. As far as positioning, but I do think it's important that we set aside, 4 to 5 acres or whatever for the future use. And if it is a community building or whatever it might be, and I think having, matter of fact, I think didn't it recommend maybe moving a little further to the south or something to one end, and actually that might make more sense too, instead of having it in the middle, but I definitely think if we proceed with something like this, that we have to plan for the future there, that's something we need to definitely set aside. I know, I have someone that I'll be meeting with to have other questions and things that we need to consider. But in the meantime, I think you guys need to think hard as far as future on what other questions you might have with this. I feel like we're beating this thing up, and we've talked about solar in a lot of different fashions for a long time, it seems like, but it is important. It's a 30-year, 30 to 40-year commitment. So I want to make sure that everything is thought out.
Well, so basically that was the answer to your question last meeting. And we were wanting to know if you guys still move forward with Mark and I spending considerable time on this. working through details with them. So they can be flexible with the amount of space you would want for a community building. They can redo the arrangement if you have a building out there you want to do, or if you have a specific location, but they just gave that as an example in their aerial. But you all have any questions, or where are you at with it, basically?
In the space that we have out there currently, and this is what I was kind of trying to ask. So we've got like the 3 fields over here, and then there's kind of the football field here, and there's a soccer field here, and then there's a bunch of grass here. Is there room for any planned fields in the future in this area yet? Or would we need any of that ground if we were gonna add anything? Does that make any sense?
Depends on, so
What we were looking.
if you want to add a baseball field, but we don't want to move the soccer field or the tractor pull, then no.
And what's the tractor for?
It's the thing that they do for the.
During the festival, it's just out there off on its own.
But it's a,
Yeah.
it's a,
I didn't even know there was a tractor.
I know, but
It's morning, not even the festival Saturday.
there's people interested in it. So
I
if
enjoyed the
you,
tractor pull, but I had no idea there was.
It's a kiddie tractor pull.
Okay, and it can.
No,
No.
it's a tractor pull,
Yeah,
and it's up,
Well, see, it's during the morning during the pancake, so.
right, that's right, you're right.
I'm up there.
A whole year, because it's.
I think that's something that I personally think needs to be discussed in a little more detail, because just because we've had the open space to allow for something like that, I think if there comes a time that we need to expand the park, to me, not expanding the park for something that's held one time a year doesn't seem to make any sense to me. Nothing against the tractor pull or anyone's into the, because it's a great thing, and we have the space to currently do it. But for future, if that area needed to be expanded for park purposes for our growth, then unfortunately, we'd either have to think somewhere else to do a tractor pull, or, but I can't see holding back on something that is held once a year.
So let's say that is there room out there, if we were willing to adjust a couple things. I would think we could be flexible with things that aren't already like carved in. Could we add, say, 2 fields and a soccer field? Like, is there approximate room for that, or not really? Like, or is there really just approximate room for a baseball field, like one singular?
my guess would be that you could rearrange the soccer field or put a baseball field north of the ball diamond 4, north of the parking lot. But I don't think you could do 2 ball diamonds and keep the soccer field without expanding into this raw farm ground where the solar panels were talking about.
There's really like room to maybe add 1 baseball field without going into, and that's with some juggling.
I say originally, the initial plan was to have 3 ball fields. You know, similar, a mirror image of the softball fields was
Right.
the original plan. And then some of the other usages was further north of the baseball fields, because there was a smaller footprint for maybe some more playground equipment there, kind of, it's very similar, like I said, mirror image of the, just not as a large of a concession stand, everything would be a little bit smaller, but, and then further north of that was at that point consideration, like I said, at one time there was talk of the skateboard park, which seemed like it went away fairly quickly because there really wasn't a lot of interest to keep pushing that through. I think at one point there was talk about volleyball nets, you know, for sand volleyball type of things, and you know, that's kind of here, you know, there. I'm trying to think, seemed like there was one other thing. Tiffany, do you remember there was one other thing that initially had started out?
Tennis courts.
Tennis courts, that's right. So there is a lot of space that those things actually were kind of laid out in the initial plan. But it's, you know, as it's grown the way it has, you know, it's no longer really gonna be the mirror image that, you know, it talked about. So it, you know, things have been adjusted, but there still is plenty of nice space there. It just, like I said, you might have to reconfigure a couple of things that, to make it all work, but,
I was just getting at making sure we left enough room to do something like. I have no concept of how much space was out there, so that's what I was getting at. Okay.
Well, there's 40 acres developed. Well, it depends on if you consider I consider the soccer field developed and then the tractor pull area, which I don't really consider developed, but there's 40 acres in that green space.
That's not the farm.
That's not the farm,
Right.
right? And then there's like 30 some
That is.
in the farm ground area. So if you're still wanting to kind of think about exactly how much land you want to carve out, I mean, you can take more time to do that too. If you want, we could take a field trip over to the church and then take a field trip out to the sports complex and see.
And take it.
I don't really need a field trip out there. Times I just don't know how much space that all takes. And since we did get rid of the field out at the sewer plant, I didn't know if we were planning on putting one out there
Well, it depends
or
on
what that plan was.
the quote that I got for one of those ball diamonds might not be reflective. It was a high quote, everything's high, but around $200,000 for a new ball diamond, which was a staggeringly high quote, but maybe that's what it is. I haven't got quotes from other people.
Yeah, a rough estimate.
Yeah, well, but I would think they're probably, I think it's probably in the ballpark for that firm in particular. Yeah. But the way that so I have a couple different configurations that were talked about with the sports complex. On my office wall, we could take a look at that.
I think that would be good for you
That
too,
would
because that could be good too, to look at what was thought of originally, to kind of get an idea what that looked like. And then, like I said, see a couple of the other things, because I think Angela's husband, Jim, when they had talked about with the community worked on a grant a few years back, kind of laid out some different ideas too. So anyway, I think it'd be good just to get a visual to kind of see what that space might be able to hold. So, anyway.
And I think I agree with Tammy as far as, I don't really know what was planned or what should be planned or whatever, but with all the discussions that we've had lately about the parks and usage and everything, I feel like we don't want to let go of things. I appreciate earning more money than less money, but if we give away the farm, then we have 30 or 40 years to get the farm back. And is that the right thing to do? And so that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. So, okay. So yes, please actively work on those thoughts and things too, so you can move along with whatever we decide on that. Budget discussion. I will let lead into that.
I just wanted to get a little bit more concrete answer on the poll that I sent you home with last meeting. Is there anything in here that you all are just opposed to including, just because you put it in the budget in the appropriation ordinance, doesn't mean you have to spend it either. So you can get down to the wire and then vote it down too. We don't have to spend the money. What matters really is your P&L that you run throughout the year. And the appropriations ordinance just gives you the authority to spend up to set amount. But is there anything in here that you just don't want in? We, with trustee Painter's help, we've identified some rebate money for the lights at the sports complex, and we might be coming back to you just advocating that it just makes more sense just to get all the ball diamonds lights taken care of this year and move past that, because with the amount of rebate that they might be offering, but we have to get confirmed for the rebate first. But we might be coming back. That might be a higher number than 37.5 there, but it would be for all four. But is there anything in here you all just don't want added because, and I can just take it out just because you're opposed to it, or is there I guess I need to get a little bit more concrete, because I want to have a, you know, you have a draft budget included with this that has the discretionary and non-discretionary items, the things that are pretty well fixed for you, like your Medicare, Social Security costs and things like that. And utilities and things that you don't really have any control over. And then I've also added just a little bit of an explanation of some reconfiguring of accounts to condense the number of GLs that we have. That's in the last 2 pages there as well. But I guess I'm asking for your input here on the front sheet.
Well, one thing, didn't you say the employees didn't want the extenuator, the safety barrier?
Correct.
They don't want that, so just take, I mean, okay, they don't want to protect themselves, take that out.
And then the realignment of Grand and Third. The upcoming budget, you'll be doing obviously we are a pass through for the sewer fund. And then you'll be doing phase 1 of the drainage project. As well, so you'll have some pretty major infrastructure projects as well as construction for the drainage project at the high school, which is starting this month. So the intersection project is probably something that we might find a way to fund that at some point later on potentially.
I don't think we need to budget for it, but when that one we're using ARPA or something like it.
We had talked about trying to deal with that, but that has changed with the various different ways that we've been planning with the ARPA money. Or it wasn't the ARPA money, it was actually some of that rebuild money. But since then, we've reconfigured the different expenditures to some of these other street projects that are tied into the sewer expansion a little more, so.
Well, I think if by chance we do develop the property in the boat graveyard, that would be something we would have to make more conducive for traffic through that.
Right, and I think too, if we were able to get some additional commercial down there that started bringing in additional funding, it will make it a little more easily to manage that funding. You know, because that'll be a project that would be necessary, and also you would have the additional funding anticipating. So, yeah, I definitely think it's something that needs to stay on the books to address, especially if we start getting some new things in that part of town.
Okay. I mean, I have no problem not budgeting for it. I mean, when you get ready for it, it might be tip money you use it for or something, but yeah, I've got no problem taking that. It's been taken out for several years, but
Yeah.
I mean, it is definitely something that very visible to the citizens here, so.
I think it's been talked about ever since I've been
Yeah.
on board.
Yeah,
I have a couple questions. Is on the front page where it says downtown welcome sign, is that the one that we talked about, Tammy? Or is that different?
The little welcome sound I talk about is more of like a little kiosk potentially there by the trail. And actually I might have a couple of ideas with the Forest Preserve on that too, but that was one of those items just put in there potentially if we were able to work out something with a welcome sign to let people know where our businesses were in the community and that sort of thing. So
Do we want it in or out?
we'll go ahead and leave it in case we do need to spend a little something on that.
Okay, so we're not gonna put the other one in the budget?
Unless you want to.
Well, I feel like in light of all our other spending, that's not really most important. And I think there's some other items also that could fall off, but that's just my opinion. My other question is about the temp employees. Are we gonna continue to spend that and use that kind of money? Or I don't know, I just kind of thinking about that.
At this point, I would say yes. And then when we get out of mowing season, it'll be something maybe we reevaluate. But at this point, I think it should be continued just to. We're right at the busy time for mowing and stuff as well, so. I think that the temp arrangement is really flexible for us.
That's fine. And then is there anywhere in here that it's mentioned about what we're spending for out of the sewer plant for the solar? Like, will that not be in the budget? I'm just trying to wrap my brain around it.
It would be debt service. And so the debt amount, whenever we secure the financing, which I don't know how long it would take us to secure the financing, because my plan is to have the RFP next meeting for you all to tell me, yeah, that's good, put it out, it's good bids, and then we have to go to the financing period, but it would be a debt payment basically, which would be roughly, I'd have to look back at the numbers, if they just hold through, stay accurate, but like.
That will fall underneath the sewer plant also,
Yeah.
so.
And so don't we have other items that are debt payments as well?
We do.
Okay. Is there any way that we can kind of see a list of those, all of those, I just would like to wrap my brain around that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And then one last thing, we were talking about the lights and things and, I just can't get it out of my mind. So, the poles that the lights are on. My question is, have they ever been inspected? I know we lost the one pole in the wind that was kind of in the middle of the diamond. The poles are positioned, of course, kind of outside around, but kids are always running around. They're big poles. Is there any risk? Do we have any risk with that? If we're taking the time to spend all this money, which I don't disagree with the lights, do we address that, or do we just put all these new lights on there and then if we lose a pole, then we have to go back to that? I'm not trying to make a mess. I just needed to get something off my brain that I was thinking about and have people tell me I'm crazy and I'll drop it, or I don't know. I don't know. Has anybody else ever thought about that? I think about, not all the time, but I think about telephone poles that have been in places for a very long time. They've not been replaced. It's out in the country. Somebody hits it, somebody bumps it, the wind gets it, it falls, things happen. Are we liable? I don't know.
So if we get them inspected and the inspection says they need to be replaced, that's $4,500 a pop. And then we would be liable if we knew something and we didn't do something about it. If the poles break due to weather or anything, if they're covered by insurance. So if a pole breaks tonight, that is covered in our insurance. But if you want us to get it inspected, it might come back that, some of those were donated poles too, from what I understand the history. So it's very possible that, and I don't know if, sometimes when you get things inspected, they're taking on a bit of that responsibility. So they're going to lean on the side of you need to get it replaced, is my opinion, whenever it might not necessarily need to be. It's a very tricky thing to talk about because I don't want to downplay your concern at all, but I also don't, if you're worried about the lights getting damaged, those would be covered, those are insured. If the storm comes out and takes a light pole out. But if you all want us to have those inspected prior to installing lights, you all get to make that call, we can do that.
Terry, are you, so is it the liability, like the pole might fall on somebody, or I don't know how the poles are, or do you mean you're worried about the pole not being stable enough for the lights after we dump all this money on the lights and then the pole falters and.
So he answered my question about that. If the
That's
pole falls,
insurance.
it's like that's insurance.
Right.
And yes, I have a question about liability,
Yeah.
so I just don't know what the right thing is, so.
And Mike. And the guys just look at them.
I'm gonna say, when you look at them, like.
So Mike and I talked about it, and
Concerned to look at.
Mike and I talked about it, and he said we need to have that inspected, and there's people that do that for companies like that.
Most of the poles usually got a date on them. I mean, when they're go ahead and Chris showed it and all that, if you look around, there's a date on
He told you that a lot of them were donated to us.
Yeah,
it. But it still would have a date.
Yeah.
You could look at the lifespan. And then you go from there.
Where's that on the pole?
I've seen it, but I can't tell you where. Somebody like that's around there every day. That's not.
It's at the top.
Yeah, you would change up there.
How long have those poles been in place? I mean, I know some of them were telling me, but how long have they been out there? I don't know.
Probably since the beginning of when we opened the park.
It's a year after the park.
Yeah.
They weren't lit the first year. I don't think.
Yeah, so, yeah, fairly close to that time. Yeah, within a year probably of opening.
All right.
I'm trying to spend more money.
So how long have those poles been in place, you guessing? 17, 15 years? I don't know. I'm guessing.
Let's see, we finished the park up in 2008.
These are poles that Ameren took down. And then gave to us. So that gives them another age.
Yeah, and I mean, something like that, I don't know what life expectancy of, like I said, obviously Ameren switches them out for various reasons.
I'd say that could be because of how they were anchored, I would assume, right?
Yeah, cause I mean,
They could have decided to go to metal or something. It
Yeah,
doesn't mean that they were.
Or that they were.
Relocation,
Could be a variety of
But-
reasons.
yeah. Cause I mean, I'm guessing we didn't take on poles that were in bad shape.
I don't think Ameren would give us poles that were in bad
Right.
shape, and
So I'm
especially at that time, you know, we had that situation. I think they would have been pretty careful with what they gave us.
Right, so I'm imagining the poles that when they were donated to us were poles that just were no longer in use because they were switching out something or location. So,
Cursor, and I don't know where I had it in my mind 50 years is what they use, and I just did a cursory. It said like around 40 years, 35, 40 years. But they said it's not uncommon here that for a wood pole have a lifespan of 35 to 75 years. So I doubt any
is
of
that
them.
what you looked up?
So I just looked at it.
That's what I think.
Dueling phones. I had in my mind 50 years, something like that, what you can get with, but I couldn't tell you.
We can do it if you all want us to, and it's totally valid, so, if we do it and then they tell us, yeah, the poles need to be replaced, we've been notified.
They'll have legal notice then if anything happens.
So,
How
but
many poles are there?
a lot, I'd have to get your account, but 34 stands out in my,
34?
yeah. Stands out in my head, but I don't, but I'd have to, I wanna verify that.
My concern would be if someone inspecting, it's always gonna be in their best interest to say that, yeah, you need to replace it, absolutely, so.
I'm not saying that it's not valid.
Right, and that's not what I'm trying to say either, I'm just
Yeah, so they,
concerned that they're gonna come out and be like, oh, yeah, they should probably help me replace because of it. Their liability comes if they say, no, they're fine, and then it blows over.
I would be curious to know, like, for schools and things that have poles, you know, light poles and things, you know, who does their inspections, you know, if they have someone in-house that kind of keeps an eye on, you know, any visible, you know, things on the pole that look like they're deteriorating in some capacity. I mean, I guess at the very least, I guess I would feel much better about that, is at least having someone physically go and check each pole. Not necessarily hiring an expert to do it, say, but if we physically, even with our IML people, you know, they come out and inspect playgrounds and different things too.
They'll be on site.
Yeah, if it's something that they could even give a quick view of checking out the poles and giving us an idea, you know, gosh, yeah, that one looks pretty ratty, maybe you should think about replacing that one, but.
What I remember, the real old utility poles used to have like a date nail, but it was a tag on them. But the newer ones, they take a punch and put them in the date in it. It'll have like, just a date like 2024 or something like that. And it's usually somewhere visible. I don't know if those are old enough. I just have to look around on them, but I don't.
I mean, if we could find the date on them too, that would be helpful, but maybe check with the IML, the risk management people too, and, cause I said, I'm sure they have these in other communities too,
Right.
on ball fields and different things that. might be a good approach, you know, for that, because, yeah, you don't want a company that comes in that they're in the business of replacing poles to come in and say, hey, yeah, you can replace all these, but, you know, I think it probably makes sense to at least have some kind of visual on these poles to know if they are getting close to giving up the ghost, I mean, and not waiting for something to happen, so, but our risk management might be a good place to start on.
So are you all, I need to probably start tracking this down. Are you okay with buying the temporary mound for the baseball people and the soccer request? If you are, they're wanting to know.
And what were the totals of that again?
The cheapest option for baseball was in the 4,000 range for the mound. That's a movable mound. And then the softball was in the 3,000 range. Or no, soccer was in the 3,000 range.
So you're talking like a total of around 7?
Yes.
If we do what, you know, we've kind of talked a little bit about, which you tentatively have in here that Angela kind of made the suggestion. You know, that could fall under their, you know, and to track it a little more, saying, okay, look, guys, this was, you know, your increment for the budget for new equipment or whatever, and anything above and beyond that, you need to do some fundraising on your end or something, but you know, I'm not opposed to looking at this approach that Angela had mentioned. I obviously the baseball diamond lights, you know, which is unfortunately just a big maintenance cost to the village. But sometimes, especially if it's new equipment and something new and above and beyond what we've currently had out there, you know, I always kind of feel like that's kind of on the wish list item versus just maintaining what we have. Soccer goals, I kind of feel like that's kind of a maintenance thing. It's not like they're asking for new soccer goals or asking to replace the old soccer goals. But the baseball mound is really kind of a new item. I understand the need. I understand the importance of the need, you know, for the baseball. But on the other hand, it's a new item, you know, so I guess I look at those things a little bit differently. So I don't know, that's just a thought.
My only concern with adding these in is A, it's gonna look like every year they're gonna ask for $5,000 worth of stuff. And B, where do you draw the line? Because if you're adding these 4, don't you also have to add tennis? And don't you then also have to add pickleball? And then if
Get ready.
Cross country and
cross country and now cheerleading also is there with football.
And if they don't use it this year, will they want to bank it?
Right. Same fun you learn, if we learned anything on Man Glove, it's the fastest way to make someone mad is if they think that a certain amount coming in.
And maybe the right approach is to just take each and every request and analyze it individually on, you know, our responsibility as far as maintenance and upkeep versus wish list items.
I like that. I like there being a pot that we can decide there's a purchase that needs to be made. Because, you know, it is affixed to the ground or it is something that we should be providing under our contract with them when they're renting the building. But at the same time, like I said, I'm afraid that if we say softball, it's $5,000 a year, they're gonna be like, oh, well, we've only spent 4,200, so now we wanna get softballs and we wanna get blah, 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 use up our.
Max out the amount.
Right, yeah, and that's true, because I know we've had trustees in the past that sometimes looked at the overall budget in that sense of, it's like, oh, we budgeted, so we need to spend it, you know, but, now, I agree that that's something, and I think it's gonna be helpful moving forward to the way we're doing the parks too. We're doing a better job as far as sorting it out, so that it's not all just kind of washed in together with the general funds. You know, we're gonna get a better picture as far as what's coming in and what's going out for the parks, so that we can have a better picture for future and for current budgets and things too, so that it you know, it does stand out a little more that you're spending this much for this, this and this, and it helps us to make more educated decisions in the future, because, you know, when it's in the general budget, you know, you just put a number in there, this is supposed to go towards parks and whatever that number, you know, and then, yeah, we itemize kind of within our details, the listing of things that that number might be used for. And we evaluated it every year, but yeah, maybe by doing it the way we're doing it will help us also to get a better picture of where those expenditures are. Cause yeah, right now it seems like, you know, the ones that, to me, once again, there's the needs of maintaining things. And then of course, then sometimes the wish list items, sometimes, kind of like code enforcement, whoever screams the loudest, sometimes it's the ones who gets the answers on that, and that's not necessarily the right way that we do things, but.
So would you all like me to add this, maybe like, not separate the programs out to individual programs, just make it a sports programs contribution line item? And then, or a sports program equipment, whatever,
Upgrade or replacement or.
and then put like 10,000 in there, and then instruct the leaders of these programs to submit one equipment request by a certain date, and then you all can either vote them up or vote them down on an annual basis. Is that? And then you can tell them yay or nay, and then we can move past it on that.
I think until you get a dedicated funding source, you better just take it out entirely, and just keep you general fund, because you're still gonna have, if you one program against the other, they're gonna say, even if you, which I think it's idealistic what you're talking about. If you say submit what you want, each one is gonna submit something that's probably $5,000 or $10,000, you know, and there's not gonna be fuss.
Not to tell them that they submit, but if our contract already says that they can submit, I mean, we don't really need to point it out again. And I would say you can't really give them a date.
Yeah,
because-
and actually what the contract says is basically that we maintain the equipment that's the villages, you know, and so I think that's where sometimes the confusion gets is, even though the village inherits some of the equipment that goes for a certain sport, you know, sometimes our decisions on how good certain things are, whatever, is not necessarily matches up with their point of views. And I think we have to do a better job with the sports organizations, especially until we do get some dedicated revenues, is that we do have to encourage them that, hey, yeah, we can, you know, do our best to maintain the fields and, you know, what we need to maintain at the village level. But in the meantime, you guys might have to step out or step up and do some fundraising. I mean, I know sometimes people with children and stuff, I remember back when my kids was that age, yeah, it seemed like every time you turn around, you had some kind of a fundraiser. But sometimes it's easier doing that because it's for your kids and it's for a certain item, that is sometimes easier to get people on board for those things. If it's a real need, I mean, like with this baseball mound, I mean, I don't know how many total baseball parents there are between travel ball and well, which to me nowadays they're almost all travel ball because they're all have to go other places to play, but how many total kids are involved with that gosh darn it, if every parent on just the baseball teams who are going to use that pitcher's mound, you know, tossed in an extra $20, and I know that's hard. I don't want to be insensitive to parents. It's, you know, that extra $20 is
Well, I'm gonna know hard on Facebook to parents who used to have kids who played baseball, like, hey, we really need this. If anybody wants to kick in $20, because I'll say, like, I was sympathetic to the soccer goal.
or grandparents and things
Like-
that, or just people who love baseball,
We're used to,
you know, might be willing to know. I just know, you know, there's a lot of groups at the schools and stuff who are very successful with fundraisers for their various different. You know, like we the people there at the high school, you know, they do fabulous fundraising to get those kids to Washington DC and different things, and it takes work on their part and you know, but I don't see, especially in this day and age, that's I guess we have to get away from the whole entitlement philosophy sometimes, you know, is because we do have a budget. You know, I get frustrated when people think that, you know, the village is just, you know, got tons of cash flowing in, and, you know, and right now, I mean, I was gonna put on my mayor's report, you know, we don't have the exact number. Joe's gonna try and track that number down a little bit, but this, what the governor's doing to all the municipalities in the state of Illinois by taking away that 1% sales tax for groceries. Yeah, it's a great thing for the consumer, but I don't think people understand what that's going to do to every municipality. You know, I've seen some of the numbers for like Champaign-Urbana, and other communities who have more than 1 or 2 or 3 grocery stores in their communities, and it's going to be a huge budget cut. Where before, when they did it during COVID, the state of Illinois filled in that gap for the municipalities, but they keep chipping away at what is supposed to come to the village. Years ago, we got 10% of the state income tax. We're down to 6.4%. I think is the latest number on what we get per capita. Because the state of Illinois just keeps thinking they can spend our money better than us locally. And that kills us in our budgets, you know, so, you know, we have a grocery store in our community, and I'm afraid it's really gonna be a huge, budget killer, for the amount of sales tax it might, take from our community. So, you know, so yes, unfortunately, people are gonna have, and like I said, I know they're getting hit from all directions with price increases and the crazy economy and stuff, but, they have to understand that we're getting hit just as hard, and we just can't meet everybody's needs. So we have to be creative in how we fund some of these things, and
Okay, so let's circle back to this because it's $5,000 thing, so.
and you don't want to stay here to midnight.
Exactly, yeah, so I'll go back on track, is that I said before that when I brought this up, Joe and I were having a conversation about this group wants this, and this group wants that, and this group wants that, and so I had just said, you know, consider just, this is flat amount, and that's it, and nobody can request anymore. I get that could be a potential problem, and so I don't have any problem with this coming out of here, or there being a general pot, but I am supportive of, I think that we should improve the soccer nets, because they have never asked for anything, and you're got in here for the pickleball windshield thing, you know, and the resurfacing of the tennis courts, and so I'm not opposed to that coming out, but I think we should cover the soccer nets.
Sorry, go ahead.
Didn't that pickleball windscreen, Max said they already bought that, didn't they?
They did, and there's not one that's, the concern was that you can't see into it because it's not a transparent color.
Oh.
There's not a transparent color that works, so I think that they should just use it until it wears out, and then if you all want to get them new one, you can.
It's more the whole size than the color.
The whole side, well, I think that's what they want for the, I know what you're saying, but
You can change it any color, it's still
sure.
pixelated, period.
Yeah, that's, I don't know, it seems pretty dark, because I was noticed the one on Spring Greens that they have around their trucks and things. It almost seems like you can almost see through it a little better than the one at the pickleball court. But like I said, I don't know if that's intentional for the wind.
Well, but that's more of a privacy screen, where that's more of a windscreen. And I didn't realize how opaque that was until they mentioned it, and you drive by the next day, it's like, you really can't, but it blocks the wind.
And if you've added cameras.
Yeah, I had someone approach me because they like to sit on the bench and watch pickleball and more things, and I'm like, can't see anything now, because it's covered, and I said, because they understood the windscreen thing, and thought maybe it was more for winter, and I said, well, I don't know, I think they're looking at, you know, wind for all seasons kind of a thing, but she was just like, well, it's kind of disappointing to sit on the bench and can't see nothing. So I told her we were discussing shield, so, but
I think to better organize because the requests from these teams are not gonna stop coming. And they're gonna be kind of peppered in throughout the year and it'll be a never ending story. It'll continue to happen. I think you need to have, my recommendation would be for you to have some sort of application or some type of request form where you can manage the request to where this isn't a 12-month out of the year saga. And we can get it out of the way like we do with the business grant and not go through this. If you're gonna do contributions, if it's an open-ended thing, I think it'll be a rather constant.
Why not treat it like a grant? Where there's justification, there's scoring, you could look at financial need.
The only reason I would argue the date thing is because football is gonna realize they need something at a very different date than baseball is gonna realize they need something. And pickleball is now a 12-month sport, they might realize they're needing something at a different time. I mean, I guess it can be considered for the next year, football realizes in August, but whatever broke over the summer and it really needs.
Maybe as long as they knew when those dates were.
Yeah,
Just
if
like
they
the
can
business
plan.
grant, they'll know exactly when that grant period of time is to plan ahead and submit. But I think in that evaluation too, I think we do need to definitely take into consideration what our responsibilities are versus just wish list items and I want kind of items versus things that maybe are our responsibilities. And that, and then that's also where we just need to be clear with them, is some of those items maybe too. We don't charge, I mean, yeah, if you listen to Facebook, you would think we charge an arm and a leg to use our parks, but we don't. We're pretty generous with the fees that we charge, and I don't want to charge any more than we have to. We know we'll never make enough off those entry fees to cover the cost of the parks. And that's not what we intend to do. That's why we're looking at other revenue sources for the parks, but anyway, I do feel the village does have some responsibility there for maintenance. But yeah, we just have to be careful on what's maintenance and what's not.
So the time sensitive thing says I need to know what to put in the budget. And then the second thing is, the baseball teams wanted the mound months ago. And the soccer teams want their stuff and we need to start giving them some answers. So if we could maybe walk through those requests that you know of at this point, and I just need to know what to tell them, basically.
Let's see, buy a mound, buy the soccer nets and go ahead and commit X amount of dollars for their use or have a fund there to draw from. I mean, if we had, like I said, if there was a dedicated funding source where you had somebody to work with, yeah, it'd be nice to say, okay, guys, you got this much to work with. Like now, if you had softball or baseball like that, how you gonna go ahead and give them 5,000, we're dropping 30 grand in lights. So.
Is there a consensus around buying the cheapest mound option and the soccer nets that were proposed?
Well, I'd be in favor of it, so.
I am.
I'm in favor of it.
Yes.
Sure.
Alrighty then, good deal, okay. All right, so the next thing is the fireworks did go up by half the Christmas tree. And then, so it'll be around 7,640.
Okay, the Girl Scouts just saved them back in Christmas tree.
And then, but yeah, the 7,640 for the 25-minute fireworks show. And then and that's because their insurance went up. That's why it went up. just so you're aware.
So is it the same place that we had last year or the place that we had before?
It's the same place that we had last year. I think the place that you had before isn't doing it anymore, which is why this place is the one that was
We're
selected.
down to limited, what's this?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what it is. I don't think there's a lot of folks clamoring to get into that. Yeah,
Insurance and electronics.
yeah. But is there anything else? Are you all okay with me just keeping everything in here? The mural, that isn't the price for it. It's gonna be more than 2,500, so. It'll be much more than that. I don't know if that's something that you wanna make it a community effort or. If, you want me to get bids for something like that, or do they look more into that program that we discussed at the last
Yeah,
meeting?
that was just something that, actually, I was hoping more that it could be done a little more locally, that maybe it wouldn't be super expensive. I mean, I want it to look nice, but I was hoping it could be done something more locally, more homegrown, maybe.
And that's another one that I'd say there are some other things probably rank
Yeah,
above that. That's honestly how I kind of feel about.
I mean, I can go out there and hang on the wall.
How I feel about the mower as well. I love the mower concept. I honestly want, that's why I want to start, but. As long as we own mowers and employ people to mow them and it's not.
Well, as far as that goes, and I don't disavow your analysis of that. The thing gets me, and it probably wouldn't be in my mind so much, we spent $8,000 on a motor for a lawnmower that was 3 years old. If the motor went out of your car is 3 years old, I mean, you'd be pissed. I mean, anybody would be. It's a diesel motor. It's either poor quality or wasn't maintained, one or the other. So I think we ought to be looking at ways, okay, if we do electric mower or subcontract, I don't care which, but we need to be looking at something else, because this is an unacceptable expense. And it's just, I don't know, it just aggravates me, that kind of money.
Yeah.
Just for the mower.
It does, I agree with her. It does seem
Yeah.
like we go through a lot of mowers here, and I don't know, I know I personally several years back, was notified of, it appeared that one of the mowers was going fairly quickly when it was mowing, but you know, I agree. I think we need to look at all of our options as far as how we do things in the village, as far as, you know, does it make, you know, contracting out mowing versus replacing mowers every 3 years, you know, what makes more sense? I mean, unless we really dig in and look at those numbers, you're not gonna know. You know, I mean, so you need to kind of maybe we need to get a feel for what it would cost to have, even if it's just the parks being mowed. And we only had to mow the, you know, greenways that were responsible for mowing, that would save, you know, some equipment cost.
I did
And
notice in the budget, it looks like there already is a mower for 26,000. So I guess that was part of my thing, because if we were already getting to that.
Or does
That's in the birth account. We'll talk about that at the next meeting. You can look at it now and ask questions about it, but it's part of the list of equipment that's due to be replaced with an older mower that's due.
And that's
So-
just, I guess, kind of the question would be, how much, you know, how many times could you have it mowed by somebody else for 26,000?
Well, I mean, the mower they traded off the last time for the one they got had over 2,500 on, it had gone out. For a mower, that's a lot of hours on something that you got a lot of equipment, and they were starting to have a lot of issues, so they got a new mower. They spent, I don't remember what it was now, but this and how it was supposed to be great. And like I said, I'm very disappointed. A diesel engine 3 years is unacceptable. And we're a brand new mower. I never agreed to buy that brand new mower again. I kind of just roughly estimated that electric mower would just guessing, you know, by somebody not having to mow it, is about $1,000 a field. I was figuring one field to put a toe on the water. He says they might be able to do 2 to 3, so you might be looking at a $3,000 thing. If you, people don't want to do that, that's fine. I do think we need to look at other options, explore all, if it's contracted out or whatever. The benefit I thought about the electric one, you're not relegated to mowing between working hour time during the week when they got a game or something like that. So it's stuff like that's happening at night. It shouldn't interfere with anybody. So that takes that out of the equation. You could work on weekends or whatever. But I do think we need to explore other options because like when that mower goes down, then it rent one. You know, was in the budget buying a belly mower for that John Deere or not?
No, but it can be.
I mean, that was one thing I suggested. You just got this new garden tractor, buy a belly mower. If that breaks down, you don't need to rent one. We're always renting stuff. You know, why don't you have a backup plan? So, I'm not against, I mean, I think it would be worthwhile. I think it's putting your toe in the water on that. I was just thinking one field, but I did do 3. I mean, I'm just guessing, you know, with man hours, time and everything, it'd probably be a savings in the neighborhood of $3,000.
I definitely think it's worth exploring other options, and like I said several times, I feel like there are lots of things that are all in that realm that I would like to understand more about how they work. I just would have thought maybe that came out of an already set budget rather than just being an additional item.
I mean,
But no, I'm not against the.
yeah, I said, think it over, you know, we discuss it. I mean, you know, I think we're gonna have resistance and we're hiring part-time help. Well, let's look at that. If we had somebody, if that was mowing the fields, do we really need that part-time help? If we subcontracted out the mowing to somebody else, do we really need to hire part-time help? So there's savings other ways too. Like I said, a lot of predicated, it just pisses me off that $8,000 for a motor, and you put a motor in your car for that. You know,
So we can talk about that one and finish it up next meeting on that topic if you want to think about that more. I guess the stop sign cover, if we're doing okay in our engineering budget for next year, that's something that we might, I put that number in there. I don't think it'll be that high. It might be a quick.
Well, then you can take it out. Can we put temporary stop signs up during the festival for 1 year and
I
see if
can
that
ask about that.
works?
I can ask about that.
That would be a good solution because they need it during the festival. I agree, you can just put a temporary one up there.
Okay. And then the comprehensive plan, is that something that you want to try to knock out this year or wait till the future fiscal year?
I personally don't believe.
Is there consensus on that, or do you want another?
I agree with that in light of all the other things we have on our plate right now. And not just us.
Well, it was fun. All right, so we'll do this again next time and. Yeah.
Okay, so you got what you need there. Okay. Do you have any other updates, Joe?
I do. So softball wants to buy a shed. And put it. West of. The softball field, 1292. A yard barn, they want to put a 12x12 shed on skids. On a 14x14 pad, they want it just west of the batting cages, apparently. And I just, Mike and I looked at it, we don't look there, but it's up to you if you all want to have, you're gonna have a concrete pad there and everything. You know, Mike can move it if he needed to, if he needed to get there for something. So we could always relocate the shed if we had to. But do you have a problem with that? Is there?
So if they start doing it, then is everybody else gonna have to have a shed?
Yeah, well-
And then do we have parameters of what they look like? Because I know sometimes when I see sheds and people say that they've done sheds and then they don't look very nice.
I'm just wondering, does the subdivision have rules against sheds, like, could that
Not
town
against.
have a
They
shed?
could have a shed,
Okay,
but I think soccer already has a shed over there, don't they? And
They do, but we don't have any like parameters for the looks or anything
No.
like that. It's all.
Yeah, the high school, when the high school was there, I don't know if it's still there, I mean.
I thought there was even another one down, I don't know, I thought there was already a shed there already prior to mine.
At the sports complex.
Yeah,
There's two north of the parking lot.
yeah,
And there's a storage area inside the concession stand, and then we have a garage type thing that's there. So this would be the only type of storage shed that is south of the parking lot. So that would be.
Yeah, so which one is, where is it gonna be?
it's gonna be Beston's backyard.
Yeah.
Down there. Wow.
That's
And they
what I
want to
was
put a
thinking.
concrete pad and they're gonna
That's
pay for the
awesome.
concrete, that's like permanent, that's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, that's.
And what's the reason for the shed? I mean, because they have the storage capacity in the pavilion.
So they want a place to store their stuff.
There's not room in the current pavilion.
There's,
storage
I think
area.
they want, there's, I want that, I think they just want their stuff. It's my understanding, but that might not be the full reason what they're looking for.
Cause I said, originally like that huge pavilion, there was storage, and I'm not sure where like roller hockey used to have. A large area for storage things that no longer is being used. I'm not sure what it's being used for, but then I know softball had another area. That was kind of in there that I thought they had, was able to lock their stuff there, but I mean, I guess.
They are, it's just, I think they want their own. Thing. I think that is kind of a combined closet. Where multiple people have access to the closet, basically.
12 by 12, that's pretty big.
It's,
But they
that's why it's up to
I thought there were
you.
cages in there separated.
What you said?
I thought there were cages in there separated where they could lock their stuff up.
I didn't know about that. I thought that is, once you have access to the room, you can get to anything this way or. But
See, I'm almost wondering if that's something that we could maybe even change if softball. I mean, I guess. Is it one particular team that's wanting it? I mean, I guess I'm not sure who's sharing what out there,
softball organization that's not travel softball.
which
Does
is,
that help you?
no, because they all do it.
Well, yeah, it's, it's the one that,
It's supposed to be the rec league
that.
kind of
one,
thing, yeah,
Yes.
it's more, yeah.
It's up to you. I told him that I would ask him and get back to him. Like I said, Mike doesn't have a problem with it. If he ever had to move it, he's okay to move it. Up to you.
I got no problem with it. They wanna put it there. I mean, I was saying I'd put it on skids just in case you needed to move it, but if they want
It's not, it will be on skids.
it, yeah, but you're having the cement pad to put it on.
It'll set it on it, yeah.
Do you want it in your backyard?
It's not my backyard, it's my neighbor's backyard. No, I think they can use the storage
I
that's
would-
there.
yeah, I would want more information as to why. What there is currently isn't.
For years, for years past, one of the big complaints is they made bunches of copies of the key to go in that storage room, and everybody and their dog had a key in, so that it's like, well, you took our stuff, or you, and it's. And I conveyed that to Joe. I said, I think they're just wanting their own stuff, and take their ball and go home.
I don't think it should be by the neighbor's backyard, I'm sorry.
Like up by the garage. A little bit more user or
Or
neighborhood friendly.
backside of the.
It's gonna be south of the batting cages, like right there.
Yeah,
I guess I wouldn't mind finding out, I said if it's a matter of. Recouping all the keys and starting fresh there and
Maybe having Right, I was gonna say repeat again.
Yeah, and have them have more of a secured.
Have they had stuff stolen? Has the softball had stuff stolen out of, or they just want more room, or they're not comfortable with the fact that it's in the building where other people's things are and they.
I don't, I
It's
was,
the same,
I'll ask to get that information, so that way you can. I might even invite one of them here.
Like if it was rekey with do not duplicate lock, then would that solve the problem as well? Yes, it would.
The cages and everything.
And it gives you price, yeah,
yes.
yes. I know originally that was the intent on that larger, that larger storage area there on that one side. I know that was the original intent, was to have storage cages
They
that
had stuff.
would have individual locks on them. But I said, I have no idea what's in that portion now, what it's even being used for, but.
Last time I was there, we just had racks with their stuff.
Add this to the field trip.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I'm taking this as
Honestly,
you
I've
want,
never seen that.
you want more information basically before they do it. Is that what I'm hearing, or?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Anything else?
no,
Okay, Mark.
Now I can do my report.
Yes, 2 hours.
I don't have anything to report.
Bless you.
Tiffany, you have economic interest statements listed on yours.
Yeah, if you have them done, I'll take them for you. We need to get one to Max. I guess he's dropped off the call. I'll track him down. You can also do them online. If you need anything from me, please let me know. I'll be glad to help you in any way I can. May 1st is the deadline. Ann and I, and the county clerk and I have had a lot of fun. They got deleted a couple times and added back, and it's really a lot of fun.
Okay, thank you. Public Works will have the report at next meeting. I just wanted to, point out that we did have some significant rain, last week or so, and just sometimes it doesn't get noticed enough that, you know, on the positive side, that some of the areas that used to flood a lot in our community, there was no standing water. So I think that's, you know, we need to apply what you guys do here and make those decisions to move forward with some of the stormwater plans to keep moving the village forward and making that better, because you know, the poor people who've had to deal with water standing in their yards in various places in the past. You know, I know they notice that it's no longer there. So if we can keep improving in that, I think that's a good thing for the village. It's really not a small thing, especially for those people who've had to deal with flooding. So, and then the only other thing I was going to add, I met with the Cape Crew Rail Trail people today. They're working on a new promo for the like a new promo video as they're getting ready to start working on the expansion to start connecting everything towards Danville. So they want to update their video that they have for their promotional stuff. So they were downtown here this morning, and we have a walking group that meets regularly. So they met up with them, and they had a drone, and so got a lot of nice pictures of our downtown and just outside of town coming in on the bridge and everything. So it was kind of fun. My little pup, I think, is going to be Mabel, is going to be the star of the show, because she of course was being adorable through the whole video thing. So anyway, so you know, if you want her autograph, you know, I'm sure I can get it for you. So that's all I have is be looking for that. We did add a thing on the website because they do have some new information coming out there. And there's a link you can get those updates if you'd like to know what the latest is on their movement, getting that connected. So anyway, that's all I have. Do you guys have anything to add?
Actually, I do, but I'm not gonna present it. What I want to do, I had some thoughts. We had 2 presentations on trash pickup. I just put my thoughts down, and I just made a copy for each one of you. If you just take it and pass it down. It's something to build on, you know, something to think about. So just take it with you. It's just FYI. And
And it looks so nice to me.
I mean, it's just some suggestions, just to think about. I think that could be beneficial to the people of St. Joe, and maybe discontent, but I think it's a way that they could save some money, all concerned. So anyway, my thoughts there, you can look at it, build upon it, discuss it, so.
Well, thank you very much. I knew this was gonna be a long one. I think we broke a record maybe on.
When you wait till next meeting.
Oh.
No, I'm serious. It'll be good.
So anyway, have a good evening. This one may.
Motion to adjourn.